Hey, everybody, and welcome back to a very special episode of We've Seen It.
Oh, yeah.
This is our 100 subscriber episode. So for this, we had a few ideas back in the day. We knew we wanted to do something, even though it's a really small amount of subscribers.
Yeah.
But we wanted to do something so we can look back at it when we do eventually hit that 1K, because we're on that 1K grind now.
Yeah, I mean, even just hitting 100 subscribers is more than we kind of expected at one point.
Yeah,
so.
or at least we expected it over a much longer period of
Yeah.
time. Because people always say the first 1,000's really hard, but I mean, the first 100 were also...
I mean, just getting anyone to watch anything can be hard sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
especially when it's something that's like, an hour to 2 hours, like a long podcast. That's why it's nice that we break it down into separate parts. But yeah, if you are watching this, obviously, hopefully you're subscribed. But if you're not, feel free to subscribe.
Yeah.
Leave us any sort of comments on this. Obviously, these questions are all made up of comments and stuff like that we've gotten. We took like 2 weeks or so to put them all together. And now I have them in a nice little list.
We've got, what, 25 or so?
I think the exact amount, 1, 2, 3, 4, 26 to be
Okay.
precise. Some of them will be short, some of them will be longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so once again, if you're watching this, feel free to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff if you're not already. Okay, so obviously we're going to start off with the question number 1.
Yep.
So one thing I didn't do, I didn't put anyone's names on these questions. I just took the questions word for word and placed them in there. So, you'll know if it's your question or not. Question number 1. Not sure if you've talked about it yet, but in Attack on Titan, which character do you think has seen the most growth over all the seasons, maybe excluding Eren? So we're starting off with an Attack on Titan question. I think 2 of the questions are actually focused around Attack on Titan.
I mean, I can't blame them. It's a lot of content.
It is this season. So obviously, a lot of the answers would probably like to be Eren, because he's went from being a classic shonen protagonist of high energy, wants revenge, wants to be the best, to being like a fucking emotionalist devil.
Yeah, he's gone from wanting to save everyone to committing war crimes. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think we got the maybe excluding Eren. Character has grown the most. I always kind of want to say Armin, to be honest.
That was actually going to be my answer, because he's gone from being absolutely useless.
A complete pussy character who couldn't do anything. He wasn't even really shown in the early episodes as that intelligent. I think he was supposed to be more like the smart one who doesn't fight and stuff like that. Which is why going and joining the scouts was out of his comfort zone. Yeah,
he was originally intended to join the garrison, and then he showed up, and the first major scene we see with him in action is basically Eren sacrificing himself to save him almost.
Yeah.
And now he's commanding the scouts in international warfare.
Yeah, and not only does he possess the Colossal Titan, which is one of the strongest Titans just for its pure ability to absolutely nuke anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also shown in the season 3 a lot. He possesses the skills required to be a commander.
Yeah.
Erwin acknowledges him, Levi acknowledges him, that kind of stuff. And now he's the commander. Not to mention in the most, not the most recent episode, but in the most recent season, just his growth. That obviously he didn't like it, but just being able to nuke and kill all these people and children.
Yeah, that's definitely progression from where he was before.
Yeah, accepting the war you're in and the circumstances you have, and not liking it but accepting it. Lots of growth. Yeah, I don't know, Armin. Plus, cut his hair so he looks a little bit less. I don't know, less like a weak He-Man, I guess, was what you got. The season 1 Armin vibes was like He-Man if he didn't work out ever.
That's too accurate. I hate that you said that.
Yeah, I don't know, Armin. It would either be Eren or Armin, but I don't really think other characters, you can look at them. Like Mikasa, for instance. Has she really grown that much? She started the season doing anything for Eren. She's currently at a point in the season where she'll do anything for Eren.
Yeah, I think the biggest development with her is that she kind of looks at Eren now and thinks there's something fucking wrong with you.
Yeah, which I think later that has something to do with one of the other Attack on Titan questions, which we'll get to. But yeah, I think we can both pretty much agree that Armin, other than maybe Eren. But Eren's, I mean, I guess you could argue maybe Armin's is also negative, but I think that's just what realistic.
Armin grew with what he had. Eren actively became something he was trying to destroy.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, that was question number 1, Attack on Titan. Question number 2. Were you into anime from a young age, or did you get into it further down the line? If so, what anime triggered it? I got in. I'll start first. They're going to be very different stories in a sense. I got into anime because I just moved to the area we're in now when I was in grade 7, so very impressionable age. I moved and didn't really have any friends because I was brand new. And slowly, when I made my very first group of friends, it was made up of a whole bunch of other kids who moved. And one of them was my friend Eric, who was Korean. And he got me into video games, MMOs, and anime. So the very first anime I saw was Naruto. No shock.
Okay.
It was Naruto, One Piece, but I never actually liked One Piece. When I saw it, it looked a little goofy. And then Fullmetal Alchemist, the original one, were the early animes I saw. And they weren't even episode 1s. They were just at his house on TV. And yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot of people forgetting to anime, those early shonens are going to be them. Like, obviously, you could say that, yes, I watched Pokemon as a kid. I watched Dragon Ball Z. I watched Sailor Moon. But
Yeah.
I don't really, like, everybody has seen those, and I don't consider those to be the ones that got me into anime. It took, being like 12 years old and watching early Naruto episodes with my friend to actually get me into it. And then from there, I started growing on, like, YTV, for instance. They started airing a Death Note at one point when I was about 14.
Okay.
That was the first like more adult anime I watched, and from there, after that, it was just like I started watching everything I could. I was obviously pirating and going onto sites like AnimeFreak.tv and stuff like that to watch them, because when you're 14 and they didn't have all these streaming services yet, what were you supposed to do?
Yeah.
You only had the options of YTV anime, which were very limited in the day. So
I mean, I think at one point there was also like Adult Swim going on, but
yeah, I probably didn't even have that channel. Like we had terrible TV channels. We had bad internet too, but it was literally like at one point it became every single night I'd get home from school and I just watch like every Tuesday I'd watch like the newest Naruto episode when it came out. So
okay.
that was really me anyways. A lot of it was just because I had a Korean friend who got me into a lot of not necessarily, these are all Japanese anime, but he got me into a lot of different just Asian culture in general. Like I got really into K-pop, into anime, into a lot of Japanese, Korean, and Chinese video games. So that's how it started for me.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a little bit of a different story.
Yours wasn't from an Asian friend?
No. I grew up just like you. I watched Pokemon, Digimon, Sailor Moon, all that.
Like most people, yeah.
I grew up in a family where I didn't have access to the television most of the time, and I didn't really have an internet. Like I had dial up through most of high school. That's how bad my internet connection was. So if we're just getting that early instances, one of the big ones for me early on for a long time was Dragon Ball. I used to get up really early so I could watch it at like 5 a.m. before school.
Okay.
Like the OG Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z.
Yep. Little tiny Goku.
But the thing that actually got me back into it was our friend Mike. He was a big anime fan at the time, and he kind of gave me some DVDs I could watch. So the ones that actually got me back into it were series like D Gray Man, Trigun, and what was the other one? Higurashi.
All good. I could definitely see. I feel like Higurashi is what sparked your a lot of. We all went through the weird, kind of emo anime phase at one point, but that was probably definitely what started it for you.
That was definitely it. It was definitely the edgelord anime I watched for a long time. So
it's actually funny knowing like we had all these friends who were like bigger into anime than we were at the time, but as we've all grown up, it's somehow become like me and you were like the biggest anime people in the friend group, and we're the ones who have to constantly tell our other friends to watch things. Or
I mean, part of it's time, part of it's just interest in life. So
it
happens.
But yeah, that's how we got into it. Two different ways, but yeah, like everybody probably grew up watching Sailor Moon and stuff like that. If you were a 90s kid like us,
yeah. The big thing was it wasn't marketed as anime. It was just cartoons you watched.
Yeah, and when they start calling like onigiri like jelly donuts and shit, it's not. It wasn't really done well in the West.
Anything except for like the third season of Tamers or Digimon that 4Kids got a hold of, I don't really consider anime.
That's true.
Like I remember going back and rewatching like card captures and thinking like, man, they butchered this.
I mean, like One Piece too, like the 4Kids One Piece where they took away Sanji's smoke and changed it to a lollipop and stuff. And like I literally just watched the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh yesterday because I was bored, and just watching how fucking shit it was and like the dub and stuff is obviously hilarious in hindsight.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, it's bad. It's done so bad I don't even want to call it anime sometimes.
Yeah. It feels like a really bad abridged series sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, Bridge series were also hilarious when we were in our teenage years too, because that was just when they were hitting like the height of their popularity.
Yeah,
I think I actually might have gotten into a couple anime series from a Bridge series, but
yeah, I remember that. I think I rewatched the original Digimon because of the Digimon abridged episode that came out. So.
It's true. Okay, question number 3: what are your favorite genres of anime? Okay, let me get it out of the way real fast. Sports anime. Obviously, you could argue that that's just shonen. It is very much shonen in just a different kind of world and setting. It's realistic shonen, and they're like, hey, what's like realistic version of like fights and getting hyped up in tournament arcs? Well, I mean, that's just, playing sports and having actual tournaments and stuff. So yeah, sport animes, slice of lifes are always still my weakness. Yeah. I don't know what started it. We'll wait till we get into like our favorite anime section to discuss some of the early ones. But yeah, slice of lifes are always fantastic. I'd say those are my biggest two. I mean, obviously, if I say sports, I feel like saying shonen is quite obvious, especially as most people got into anime from shonen. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like as you get older, you get a little bit more away from loving shonen the most, and you start looking for different things. And
yeah, you can still definitely go back to shonen, but it's not always forefront in your mind. So.
Yeah, shonen is that thing I watch to get like super hyped, like every single week when it comes out. And then slice of life is, if it's like 1 a.m, I'm like, oh, I should sleep, but like I see like a new episode of a slice of life anime is coming, like, well, it's so relaxing, I might as well just watch it. So yeah, those would be my big two. Would be shonen, slice of life, but especially sports.
Okay. I
You're
always
gonna
have a
say
hard.
dark emo shit, aren't you?
No, actually.
Okay, I thought you were gonna be like another Mirai Nikki Higurashi. You know, like
If
all
you
those
got me
kinda-
like 8 years ago, yes.
Yeah, that was prime Jimmy, prime
Oh, God.
BFW Jimmy years for his anime taste.
Oh god, I was an edgelord. Nowadays it's kind of hard because I tend to gravitate just towards the weirder stuff, like things like Zombieland Saga.
Like stuff that you can't put just one genre on as easily.
Yeah, like I do have a real soft spot for slice of life and comedy. Those are two of my big ones, but it's never the standard stuff. It's not just like the standard gag manga anime. It's stuff like Kaguya-sama.
Yeah, I definitely have a hard time doing like the gag comedy anime.
Yeah. Like if it's something that has jokes in it, but it's not the only thing there, that's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like even like stuff like Goblin Slayer. I know that's kind of edgy, but
It's kind of edgy.
It
It
was-
was edgy for like 2 out of the whole show, like 2
Yeah.
episodes, so it's not that bad.
like just something that's kind of out there and something that's different than everything else I've been watching is what I tend to gravitate towards.
That's fair. I've also really liked like romance anime. It always just it's really hard to. There has to be like a perfect line between romance and comedy.
Yeah.
You know, like I also am kind of a sucker for certain rom-coms and regular film too. You know, it's a real easy, no stakes watching kind of situation.
It is.
And the same as like if it's I like a romance is perfect if it's like 70% romance and 30% comedy. Those are like my favorites.
That is a really good way to do it, just because that way you're not just drowning in drama the entire time.
Yeah, I've seen some like 100% romance ones. Like I think it's called "Is It My Love Story?" The one with like the ape guy, the guy who's really big and but like heart of
Oh.
gold, and the cute little girl.
I want to say that's the name, but I know it's not quite that.
I know it's something close, but I watched that and I really liked it. But that was to me at least it wasn't going to make any top list because it was a little bit too romance, not really enough into comedy.
Yeah,
But,
if you're looking for romance, it's a top pick to go to. Like something like Kimi ni Todoke or something like
Yeah.
that. Like where the romance is definitely front and center, and there's a little bit of drama, but you still want to watch it.
yeah, exactly.
So-
I am a person who. It's like everybody loves Breaking Bad. I don't like watching it because it's just too stressful. I'm like, listen, life is already so stressful.
Yeah.
I just want to watch stuff that like relaxes me. That's like, I love just taking some time for absolutely no stake shows.
I mean, there are some shows that you have a real hard time watching if you have really strong empathic reactions.
It's true.
So, like, even just like old not rom-coms, sitcoms, I had a hard time watching because you would get into that super cringy scene and you were supposed to laugh at it. I'm just like, I can't watch this. I have to go into the other room. And
Yeah, you would have had to watch it like back when it first came out, when it was different time, different comedy, stuff like that.
It's not even that. Like, even when it came out, like my reaction was like, I'm thinking, it's like, if I was in this situation, how would I feel? And then I just wouldn't be able to take it.
That's true. A lot of people probably think we're just going to answer with shonen because we do talk about a lot of shonen series.
It's just that there is to talk about. You can only
Yeah.
say so much about something like Horimiya or comedy.
Yeah, shonen series are just really easy when it comes to stuff like theories and discussions, which is
Yeah.
the main focus of our podcast. But yeah, we literally like every single genre. Where I don't think there's a single genre they're like, hey, this is this genre, and I'd be like, nope, no, thank you, not going to watch it then.
Idol anime.
Okay. Yes. That to be fair, yeah, I guess that's not to you though. You watch idol anime, don't you?
A little bit, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't go hard on it, but I've definitely watched Love Live, and Zombieland Saga is another one.
Yeah.
so.
To me, never mind. That is a little bit of a. It's a little bit of a. I don't know. You'd have to really sell me on it. Like you'd have to tell me what's so good about it to make me want to watch it. But if I saw an anime and it was like idol anime, I just wouldn't watch it.
I mean, like Zombieland Saga, again, this goes back to the weird, but just pitching it as girl dies, comes back as zombie, and has a rap battle.
Yeah, when that first came out, everybody was really hyped about it. But I was just like, I didn't even try it. So yeah, I guess
get it.
that's my weakness is idol anime.
There's some things you just hear, it's just like, no.
Maybe in the future will make me watch one. Okay, question number 4. What other hobbies you have, or just things you especially like? I mainly focus my life around 3 hobbies. They're anime, video games, and working out. Those are like the only 3 things I do. Especially with all of COVID stuff, and I had like a workout injury from like years ago that's really been bad this last year. I haven't worked since August. But even in the August mark, there was 2 months where I worked there, and it was during COVID stuff. And before that, I hadn't worked since March.
Right.
So this is the most time I've ever spent not working. It's basically been a year. So all it's been is video games, anime, and working out. Obviously, right now the working out thing kind of sucks because of stuff like COVID restrictions. I have to do it from home. But I'm making a video right now, which is supposed to be like a weight loss video, which I'm excited about because I have all this technology like the camera and this room and all that kind of stuff. And then video games, obviously, most anime fans, I feel like there's a pretty big crossover between anime and video games. Love
true.
MMOs, love RPGs especially, but I'm pretty much willing to play anything. me and Jimmy both play a lot of League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean that one's really more about the people you play with than the actual
Yeah,
game.
that we still hate ourselves while we play it. Don't get us wrong. Like we acknowledge that it's a shit game and that we want to die while we're playing it, but we still play it way too often.
Yeah, we're never happy playing it. It's just when that odd time you win with your friends, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
this is worth it.
We've tried so many times to find other games where you spend as much time online with your friends and it just never works out or sticks as long. But we've been playing League consistently for like 5 or 6 years now. And
Yeah.
there are times we've gotten out of it. Like we had a big break like a year ago.
Yeah, like we got it over for like 6 to 8 months, but then one person plays it again, then another person logs on.
Yeah, and it's
then
just
another
if you want to
person
play a
logs
game with
on.
your friends, and you know, there's probably better games to play, but they never last as long. Right now, we're also going through a Nuzlocke run, so us and a couple other friends are playing Pokemon.
Yeah, a couple of people are having trouble keeping up, but it's,
Of course. And then we also played Final Fantasy 14 together when it came
yeah,
to MMOs.
I've kind of fallen off. I've been looking to get back into it. I just don't have any time.
New expansion soon, hopefully. We played Elder Scrolls Online together when it came to games. We played Monster Hunter a decent amount.
Yeah. I really wish I could get you guys to play more of that. I want to get you caught up. But
I feel like we will. I feel like right now it's just kind of stalled out because we have different levels of time between all of us.
Yeah.
Like I have too much time. Then other people might not have enough time. So
yeah.
It's for me, honestly, it's just video games, working out, and anime. I do love working out. I think there's a weird anime genre crossover between like anime and working out. Back in the old day, you'd be like, no, like working out and anime are separate things, right? One's for the buff chads, the douchebags, and one's for like the weebs. But I feel like nowadays with like all the fucking people wearing their Dragon Ball Z Train Insane merch and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a much bigger crossover than there used to be.
I mean, there's even an anime about working out now. So.
It's true. It also a lot of it comes from like the sport anime things. I also love it. Whenever I watch a sport anime, it makes me want to either play that sport or like work out.
Yeah, it just hypes
get
you
more
up to go
active.
do it, right? So
Yeah, exactly. And then also one day when cons reopen and we go back, I want to hit like a sick cosplay. And you know, I feel like to do a really sick cosplay, I'm gonna have to be a little more jacked. So
Yeah.
it's directly correlated. I haven't figured out what it's gonna be yet.
something without a shirt. We
But
know that.
hopefully 2022, there's gonna be a great cosplay coming out for our local convention. What would you say? What are your other hobbies? I assume a lot of them are gonna be very similar.
I mean, yeah, video games are a big thing for me. I tend to gravitate towards same thing, RPGs.
Oh, you know what I left out?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I left out of
What?
D&D.
I was actually going to say that.
We play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. It's something a lot of people seem to do, especially since COVID started.
Yeah,
It kinda
COVID
went back on a
A
rise.
lot more free time, and the rise of Critical Role has definitely brought it a little bit more into the front line. So
We started over a year ago, so we started before there was all the COVID restrictions and stuff. Just because we're a group of adults who were like, hey, we want to spend more time hanging with friends. What's a good adult way to do that? You know, without just hanging out and drinking or something.
yeah, pencils, paper, and dice.
Exactly, and also drinking sometimes,
Okay.
and a lot of food, a lot of snacks, a lot of food.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, that was also really fun. That's something we're still doing. We're obviously just doing it online now.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah.
Which on that note, that's my next point. D&D is a huge part of it. I am DMing a campaign for us right now. We're actually having a session tonight.
Yep, it's D&D night today.
Beyond that, I do a lot of crafting hobbies.
Make dice.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones. I do some woodworking too, things like that. Just, I don't know. It's nice to actually create something instead of just sitting around doing nothing. So.
I wish I could do more with my hands. The most like I've always been known in my family. There's always been the motto of like, you know, you don't actually do anything yourself. You just hire someone to do it. And obviously, as being, I bought my house when I was pretty young, so you have to do a lot of fixing up and stuff. So I've had to learn to be slightly more handy. Like right
Yeah.
now, we're literally just renovating our upstairs bathroom. It's almost done. We just have a couple more things to go. But it's been such a learning process. I have to watch like a shit ton of YouTube videos every time I want to do something.
Yeah.
And I really wish that, you know, I would have been raised differently to just know all this shit. Because then you see other people our ages who are like, you know, they did all the woodworking, all like the metal shop. They know all these. They know like a little bit about plumbing, a little bit about like
Yeah, just the little things that come up, right?
Yeah, and I know none of it. So every single time something comes up, I got to learn it. So I wish that was something I was more into.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the difference of family, right? Because I was raised in the family where it's like, no, you can't sit around watching anime. I'm going to teach you how to fix this car.
I mean, listen, my family was like, hey, you shouldn't sit around watching anime. You should be active because both my parents
Yeah.
were really, really fit. They're both military. So just different things. Neither of them
Yeah.
really gave a fuck about. Like my mom, obviously, when I was a kid, was always like, hey, get into the trades. You know, when you grow up, the trades are going to be huge. And they are relatively big. Like that prediction was right. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not fucking handy at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to
I'm a people person. My thing is talking to people, not fixing anything. So
Yeah, see, I'm not even particularly handy. I just know how to do things, and I just enjoy doing it. So
yeah, I'm jealous. I wish I could do more. I've trying to learn a few more things. You know, still trying to pick up some more hobbies. Like Did a little bit of foam working back when you were working on the cosplay, and that was fun while stressful.
Yeah, you were really getting into it for a while, but once you finished the costume, it was just like, yeah, I'll never touch it.
It was
again.
too much work and too much money for the result I got.
Yeah, like that was my first foray into actually learning how to sew. Because I don't know why my family just never thought I should learn how to sew, even though that's probably the most useful skill you will ever pick up.
It's true. One of my big goals, I want to get this podcast huge. So, if you're watching, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Recommend it to 3,000 of your friends. I want to get it huge before 2022 conventions so I can find someone who knows how to make cosplay and they can make one for me. Listen, I will get so jacked if you can just make me a really, really sick cosplay. I'm going to find someone within the next
I feel
year
like
or two.
Etsy and Fiverr are full of people who will make costumes for you.
It's true, but I want like someone who's specifically good at it. I want to find like a person that I can have like a nice talk with, online who's like ready to custom make me a cosplay. I will do anything I need to do it.
Okay.
I will literally find the character, and I'm also like, once again, anyone who likes cosplaying, it's really cool for them. You see some that are done really, really well. You see some cosplays that are done really, really well, but the person just doesn't fit that character, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But to me, that actually like drives me nuts personally. If someone was like, "Oh, Cam, you should go as like Asta from Black Clover. He's really cool," I'd be like, "Nope, he's short. I'm tall. Can't do it." Me and my friend John have had this argument all the time. Like, we literally wanted to go as like Goku and Gohan at one point, but he wanted to be like Goku, but he was like shorter than me, so we couldn't do the costume based on our two heights. It drove both of us nuts.
Yeah.
So I literally one day just want to become big enough that one person want to make me a cosplay. That's my dream.
I mean, it's funny that you bring up John because his sister is literally a seamstress.
I know, and she makes him the costumes, which is how I always get fucking just destroyed when it comes to the costumes.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my goal one day, is become big enough that someone out there on the internet's like, "Hey, I would really love to make you a costume. I'm pretty good at like sewing and stuff like that." If that's a wish that's never going to happen, so be it. But I'm going to pray until it does. But yeah, those are the things we like doing outside of anime. Question number 5: What actually motivated you to make the podcast? This was a question I was expecting to get because
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna open this one up. Okay. Cam put 90% of the work into this. I just kind of showed up.
Okay, so to preface that, I had a podcast before with other friends.
Yeah.
We did it for like a full year. It was a little bit too vague. Like, it wasn't as niche as this is just about anime. So it's easier to draw on a specific target. That one, we talked about anime a couple times. We talked about video games, talked about entertainment news, all that kind of stuff. So it was a little bit too broad. Plus, we had 3 people, so it was an extra person. So getting all of our times and stuff together was difficult.
Yeah.
So we stopped it for a little while. And then early on, or like, I guess, when did we start this? It's been 5 months almost.
Yeah, because we just did episode 20, right?
Yeah.
So it's, about 5 months.
It's been about 5 months. So yeah, before we started this, I think we talked about it like a month or two before it actually happened.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, I'm not doing the other podcast anymore. I'm really down with just doing a podcast where we talk about anime, because me and you were like the biggest anime viewers in our friends, at least when it comes to like weekly watching.
Yeah, because we were always in that position where we wanted to talk about what we just saw, and nobody in the chat knew about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of our friends, if they do watch anime, they'll just like watch a series on Netflix when it's done, or watch. They'll come to us and be like, hey, what anime should I watch? And we'll be like, oh, watch this one, and they'll find the streaming service and watch it. But we're like the best too when it comes to actually keeping up with anime every single week, like every single day when it comes out.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of idea behind this. A lot of people said it probably wasn't going to work out well because, it's if you don't have, like, you can have bad seasons and stuff, and then no one will be watching, so the views and stuff are going to be going up and down all the time.
Yeah.
But it was something we wanted to try anyways. We figured out if we can, because it's like anything. It's like being a salesperson. We're not necessarily selling an anime. We're trying to sell ourselves. Yeah. So hopefully the idea is that people watch us and they like us enough that that maybe we can actually convince them to start watching these series to discuss it with us.
Yeah.
Instead of people just coming in and looking at the one specific part, the dream is obviously someone comes in and be like, you know what, I'm only watching Attack on Titan right now, but these guys are talking about these 3 other shows. I'm going to try watching them so I can come in for those parts.
Yeah, which is obviously the end goal, but you never know if you're even going to get there when you start something like this.
No, yeah. So. When you starting stuff, I mean, like, especially nowadays, a lot of people say it's not even like worth it to start YouTube and stuff because there's so many people doing it. It's like really hard, especially to get your first 1,000 subs. So it's, for the first little while, we would go up like 1-2 subs every single episode. We'd be getting somewhere between like 10 and 30 views was like the high. But yeah, obviously we just keep putting episodes. We update our quality and stuff like that, and we just kind of keep praying each episode. We pull in a couple more people from certain communities and everything like that.
Yeah, which one of the big things I have seen in the comments time and time again is people just commenting on how good everything looks.
Yeah, actually, I love that too because obviously it's we don't make any money off the podcast, so you could say it's hard to argue about putting money into it when you're not making any money. But I think that any hobby in the world really requires you to put money in.
Oh yeah.
When people just think you should only be putting money into something that's going to make you money back, but like most hobbies don't make you money back. They're about like something you're passionate about, something you enjoy doing.
Yeah, it's either something you're going in to do, something like playing a sport or an action.
Yeah, like people might pay. So there's some people that pay like $2,000 a year just for snowboarding in the winter, right?
Yeah.
The difference is if I had to put $2,000 into this podcast to make it, to me that's just as enjoyable.
Yeah.
I used to pay $1,000 a year just to golf in the summer, right? And so it really just depends on what you're interested in. Money's different for every single person, obviously. The goal was never to make money on this. It's just to enjoy doing it. And now we got the quality pretty good. I don't think we're getting much higher than 4K. I don't think that's necessarily required.
Next year coming out.
Yeah, eventually I'd like to get new better mics and stuff like that, just for like the look and the sound, because the podcast sound's really important. But yeah, I love when people say that it looks really high quality, or they're like, you know what, I'm surprised you guys only have this many subs and stuff like that because it's so good. That kind of stuff makes us happy. But yeah, we just started it because we fucking love anime.
Yeah. Just having somewhere to talk about it is definitely the big thing. So
yeah, we get to, even if like there was no camera, it just means we give ourselves a dedicated time every single week to discuss the anime we want to discuss anyways between the two of us. And it's just extra fun with all the comments now. We're learning a lot of things that from like light novel readers and stuff like that we wouldn't know just from watching the show. Yeah. So it's even adding like an extra experience for us.
It is. And honestly, a lot of the light novel readers have got me into the position where I want to go back and read light novels again. So
it's true. I think that we should start doing that a little bit more, like the manga and the light novels once we finish the series, maybe. Like if we finish the series weekly and then we really liked it, maybe that's where we start doing stuff like that and discussing that. But yeah, we'll keep that in the future maybe and think about that later. But yeah, that's what got us motivated to make the podcast. Episode number 6. How does your personal life connect to anime/weeb scene it? A lot. I mean, as I said, when we discussed the, what are your hobbies? Anime is one of my 3 big hobbies. So obviously it connects a lot. We have our podcast studios inside my house. I made an entire room dedicated to it. I take time every single day, because we talk about stuff weekly. So it comes down to every single night, basically, I'll be like, oh, which anime do I have to watch tonight? So I'm up to date when we get to the recording day. And then I spend a lot of time. I hate to be like distracted by the numbers and stuff, but I can't help it. Whenever we put on an episode, I literally had to stop myself from working out on Mondays, because that's the day the podcast comes out, and I just get distracted. I'm like trying to work out. I'm looking at my phone. I'm seeing like Reddit upvotes or comments on YouTube, and I'm literally just too excited to go like respond to all of them that I can't even work out. So I've stopped working out on Mondays. I just gave up on it. So I try not to be distracted by subs and views and stuff like that, but obviously it still distracts me. So I spend a lot of my times just like looking at the video, seeing how it's performing compared to the other ones. So yeah, I mean, it just takes over a lot of my life. But I mean, time-wise, really, we spend about 2 hours recording a week. This week we're doing a little bit more because we're recording the special episode. So it's not super time-consuming, but I don't know, it's just fun. But I would say that anime doesn't take as much of my life as it used to. I'd be at home all alone all the time. I didn't have like a wife and all that kind of stuff. So I would just be watching like 70 episode series in like a week. I really don't do that anymore. It's more like a dedicated 30 minutes to an hour every single day of watching anime.
Okay.
I obviously really miss stuff like cons that used to take up some life when you'd be preparing for stuff like that. I think we have a question getting into that more later, so I'm going to save the talk on cons though.
Okay.
What would you say?
Well, speaking of someone who does not have a wife, I do still do that little binge of random series, but in terms of relating to personal life, the big thing is always friends for me. I don't really have any family or anything I could discuss it with, and they just don't really give a shit.
Yeah, so, I don't have any family that I'm talking anime about with.
Yeah, so. They're also the people I live with at this point. So
that's true. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of our friends watch anime. Yeah, that's a fact. So we can, even like our friend Dan. I think he wrote an Attack on Titan question for this. He's really gotten to Attack on Titan recently.
Yes.
Like I think by episode 5 into this season, he finally watched all of season 3 and then caught up. And then every single time, like when the episode airs, he sends us a text. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, what do you guys think about this?" I was like, "Wait till the podcast, dude." I was like, "You gotta wait." So and then he always comments something about Attack on Titan. So having friends to talk about anime with takes up a little bit more time. But yeah, I don't know. It's nice, obviously. Anime still takes up a decent part of our time, and I think we'll get to more questions later. But some other time and anime related things. So we'll save some more thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Question number 7. Where do you hope to get with your channel, and what are your intentions if it goes big? So we slightly discussed this as one of the other ones.
Yeah.
Obviously, right now, the goal is to get to 1K. It might take us another 5 months for all I know. It might take us more. Yeah. We don't really know. It really depends on how good some of the anime seasons are upcoming, how much we can grow off each anime season when it comes out.
Yeah.
If we can really utilize what's out to try and grow popularity and stuff like that.
Even just relying on the YouTube algorithm could be a little bit of a gamble. So
Yeah,
you never
obviously
know.
the dream, if I just had to give a dream, would be to get to the point where we can take a little bit more time each week, because I love doing the anime discussions. But stuff like this, where we can also just have more personal chats about stuff, would also be cool. So either having longer episodes that we break down into 2 parts, one weekly discussion, and then one just chatting about specific topics would be fun. But that would be something we'd do once we get to more subs and more views and stuff like that.
That's well down the road. So,
Yeah, stuff like that would be cool. Obviously, yeah. So 1K is the big. I don't want to look any farther than 1K. 1K is the next goal for us. Comments are really important though. So as long as the comments keep going up in videos, that's like our big goal.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like I don't really care about likes and dislikes. You know, not that people really dislike at this point. I wouldn't even mind if they did. Honestly, like it's still interaction.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even just knowing that there is room for improvement, or there's something that's irritating people, would be kind of nice.
Yeah, but as I mentioned earlier, though, right now a lot of it is just we have to get because right now we have a very good anime season. We've talked about that a few times. It's just lots of new shows, lots of good shows.
Yeah, it's one of those seasons where it's hard to just even put a list together because you want to put everything on it. So.
But eventually we might not have such a good season. So before we get to those kind of dead seasons, our goal is to build up a nice good audience who's committed to us kind of thing. So who will come in to watch no matter what we put on. So that's the goal right now, is to get to that point. So if we get to dead seasons, those people won't mind coming in to discuss into the 3 anime we are watching and then maybe broader topics.
Yeah, because even something like this is a good kind of test for that, to see if people are willing to watch us just sit here and chat about whatever they want to hear about. So
yeah, it's true. But yeah, those are the main big goals. I'm not going to be like, yeah, I want to get to $1 million. I want to be making fucking bank off this. I want to quit my day job.
I mean, I'll probably freak out if we hit 1,000.
Yeah, that's what I don't know. Like it took us 4 months to hit 100. It took us only 2 more episodes to hit like the 150 mark. So yeah, I don't know exactly how long it's going to take. It could take us an entire another 5 months. We could come out with, next season might be even somehow bigger than this season, and we might be able to get it faster. But yeah, right now 1K and just building up a nice audience of people that are interested in us more than the actual anime itself. Because if they're interested in us, then they'll watch whatever we talk about, and then we can kind of get through some of these bad seasons together when they come out.
Oh yeah, there's always going to be those downtimes. So
yeah, so that would be the answer to that question. Okay. So, any YouTubers, anime or non-anime, you find exceptional or would like to shout out? I'll start. Anime related, obviously. We've mentioned multiple times, or at least I have. I love Trash Taste.
Yep.
I like all 3 of those guys separately. So the Anime Man, CDocVA, and Geguk. I watch all their channels. It's really funny because a lot of them these days they talk about how they no longer watch anime, which is kind of we'll talk about that later in some of the future questions. But the Trash Taste podcast, our podcast came out I think only about a week after theirs. But I've mentioned this. I even actually posted the most recent episode in the Trash Taste subreddit, just letting people know. I was like, hey, I love this podcast. But one thing they don't really do is talk about anime.
Yeah.
For the most part, a lot of it's just about them as anime fans and their personal lives and stuff like that. Which obviously all 3 of them built up a big enough audience they can get away with that.
Oh god, yeah.
Ours is much more about talking about anime. So that's why I'm like, hey, if you guys love this, but you also would like to see people talk about anime, maybe also give us a check. I love Mother's Basement. That's another channel. He a lot of times does like more deep dive stuff. Like I watched his video on the Jujutsu Kaisen opening. I think just like last week he put on an episode about fashion and anime, which was really, really cool.
I actually haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, you should check it out. He just goes through all these different anime and about like I think it's just called like Shonen Drip or something is the video. But he goes into all these different anime and like obviously like JoJo's one of the big ones about fashion and stuff like that. Like eventually it went from being an anime to just being like models doing stuff in a show.
Yeah.
Non-anime, I love Drawfee. It's a drawing channel.
Okay.
Actually, today, right before this episode, they put out an anime-related episode where they do speed drawings of they did One Piece characters in different art styles. So one would do like a Batman comic book art style and draw like Luffy or something along those lines. I think the last one I didn't do because we watched this was they were drawing Luffy in Attack on Titan style. It's literally just I don't draw. I'm terrible at drawing, but I find their personalities and their characteristics so funny that I can watch them all the time. And then I obviously watch a lot of like gym videos and workout shit. A lot of like 20-year-old douchebags, honestly. But that's just there's like a part of me, even though I'm like a grown adult, I'd be like, yeah, I'm kind of like a 20-year-old douchebag in some part of me.
I mean, yeah.
Especially when like if I have to work out in like an hour, and especially when you have to work out at home, it's so hard to be motivated. I'll put on some sort of gym video ahead of time and watch that.
Yeah, just that anger of like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to work so hard to be better than
Yeah,
you.
that's pretty much all it is. But yeah, I watch a lot of the anime viewers. Obviously, if you're watching this, you've probably heard of them in the anime community. A lot of them have like over 1 million subscribers, so they're all really big.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like art channels. There's also like I watch some really weird shit. Like there's this one guy who does a renovation channel. So he bought like a $500,000 house in like Chicago or something. And for the past year, he's just been putting out parts about turning this into like this ultimate house. He comes up with like one episode every like 3 weeks about like, remodeling this. And I just love it. I don't know why. This is like part of me wishing. This is like what came out earlier about me wishing I was handier. That's why I watch this.
That thought process of I really wish I could do this.
Yeah, and then obviously, I think both of us at some point have also been into Critical Role. I don't watch it. I don't know why I've gotten out of it and then gotten really back into it at some points. But yeah, obviously it's like 4 hours an episode and there's hundreds of episodes now. So
yeah.
But yeah, as D&D fans, I feel like most people who like D&D would obviously know about Critical Role.
Yeah, even if you don't like it, you probably at least heard of it and you're familiar with it. So
yeah, if you like anime, also, I mean, they're all voice actors.
I mean,
I love like Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham, Matt Mercer, obviously really big. Marisha, they're all really really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any YouTube channels you're a fan of?
I mean, you touched on most of the anime ones I've watched at all. Like Giga was always a big one for me.
Yeah, he was like the earliest. He was like the original, one of the biggest original anime YouTubers.
Like,
and then he left for a little while, and that's where the Anime Man came out and just fucking exploded.
Yeah. For non-anime, I do tend to watch a lot of instructional things like on Dicecraft, I watch like Rivenator, things like that. But yeah, it's mostly just instructional videos and just like random clip videos that just there's one guy
like where you fall through like the rabbit hole and you just like watch a clip and then you keep watching them.
Yeah, like the most recent one, it's some guy named I think it's Dark Liberator. He does like just random military game clips.
Okay,
I just put on playlist of that while I'm doing something, so I just have something in the background. It's just absolutely hilarious.
That's pretty. I also, of course, watch Tyler One because once again we play League of Legends and I fucking
you can't get away from him.
Tyler One is just so funny sometimes. I always just question if he's actually a character or if he's a human sometimes. But yeah, those are like the big ones. Anyways, we can think of. I'm sure we could sit here for hours talking about all the YouTube channels we watch.
Oh god, yeah, that's probably a rabbit hole we don't want to jump.
Yeah, guys,
down.
I don't work right now. Of course, I watch way too much fucking YouTube. It's like all I do.
Yeah.
So it would take me hours to discuss them all. But we're gonna leave them at those ones for now.
Yeah, I feel bad I can't list more, but a big thing for me is I just put on playlists and let them play while I'm doing something. So half the time I don't even know who I'm watching.
I think we're gonna get through question 9 pretty fast. This was left by our friend Devin.
Oh god,
what is your favorite color? I'm a fan of blue.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I to me, when I look at favorite colors, I actually only think about it as colors that I think look good on me. So even though there's colors I really, really like red, I cannot wear red myself. It just doesn't look good. So I don't like red that much. That's just that. For some reason, that's the only thing I think about when I think of colors.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's weird. I just think
I kind of get that. Like when I think of colors, I always think of what I would like on something I own, or like what would I like to
like if
have
you had
on
to like
something.
theme a room around colors, right?
Yeah.
Like what would you do?
Yeah. So for me, it's always something like an emerald green or like a light blue, something like that. That'd be what I'd probably pick. But yeah, there you go, Devin.
Yeah, there you go. We got through that question. Ooh, that was a tough one. Question number 10. If you had to pick just a single waifu or husbando, who would you choose and why? This is a question.
This is a loaded question.
Okay. I don't even know. I'm going to start. Listen, you said waifu or husbando. I'm going to start this off by saying we are both straight, but I'm still going to pick a husbando right now anyways. Listen, if I had to pick a real life husbando, I'd want to be picking my boy Zac Efron, obviously. But if we're limiting this to anime, is it weird to pick a character who I think is myself?
It's a little narcissistic, but
yeah, but that's just how I roll. I don't. Okay, listen. Here's the thing. I love Mako-chan from Free. He is me. When we cosplay as Free, I went as Mako-chan.
Yeah.
We're like height. We're similar. That's just always been like we had like our own separate characters in like the the Free universe when we were cosplaying. And he's just the best. He's also a great friend to Haru. What other friend would come over and help you out of the bathtub in the morning?
Yeah, and look absolutely devastated when you actually have some swim trunks on.
That is husbando material. If I had to pick another one, obviously like Subaru comes to mind, but I don't know. Once again, his character's grown a lot, but he's a little bit too needy in the early season, so I can't fully commit to that. And
okay,
he has too much self-doubt about himself. I like a nice, confident husbando. Waifu though, fucking goddamn, this is a tough one. Why is it tougher to pick a waifu than a husbando?
Because you have more choices.
Hey, there are a lot more choices. Oh my god. Okay, do you have one?
I mean, I can give you the husbando.
Okay.
I hate that this is the choice, but I'm gonna go with Wolfwood from Trigun.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into Trigun spoilers here, but I mean, Wolfwood was like the best character.
Yeah,
Obviously, he did not make it out of the series.
I know.
Which I was really sad when I watched Trigun. But yeah, he was best boy from that for sure.
Yeah, like if you give me that option, like that's the only one that comes to mind for me, and I don't know why.
Okay, I was thinking maybe it was going to be like Spike Spiegel. A lot of people like him, but I don't know if you want him as a husband though. It's too wild.
Again, he didn't make it out of the series. So.
That's true. But yeah, waifu though. I obviously whenever I think waifus, I only think of like more recent shows, I try to like look back on older shows that I watched and like, oh, who did that? Who was the really
like who sticks in your mind? Who would you actually think of like way down the line?
When I think about waifu, I'm thinking about waifu material. I'm thinking about someone who's going to take care of me. Someone who's going to accept all my flaws. Someone who's going to make me onigiri. This is a tough one. I can still only think of more recent stuff. If I'm thinking from the most recent year, obviously it's going to be Usagi's mom.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair one.
But if I try and think of from like ever, I would want to go with like Yoko.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, can I have her as like the time skip version though when she's older, please?
I mean, yeah, that'd be pretty acceptable.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell, Jimmy. It's right there.
I know. I just wasn't expecting that actual answer.
I don't. It's hard. I would almost want to say that she doesn't really necessarily fit all my categories of a waifu. I don't think she's perfect wife material if I had to pick it. But I don't know. Like watching Gurren Lagann back in the day. Was there any? I mean, even when you go to like conventions, who was being cosplayed as more?
Yeah,
like,
there's always a smattering of Yokos no matter where you go.
Yeah, Studio Trigger already makes their characters look dope.
Yeah.
And Yoko just looked fantastic. Like the outfit was just so cool mixed with like the hair, the huge gun, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or other than that, I also really liked Patty and Liz back in the day.
I can actually respect that option. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, like early anime days, like Soul Eater, I was big fans of them. Modern times, I love Amelia. We've discussed this when it comes to the Rem versus Amelia debate. I'm a big Amelia fan, especially with this new season right now. I feel like she's crushing it. Hopefully that continues going on. Yeah, I don't know. Those would, if I had to just say throw some out, those would be the big ones.
Yeah. See, I always have a hard time with the waifu discussion because part of it's like a lot of the time age is ambiguous in anime.
Yeah.
So I always had thought in the back of my head, it's like if I say this, is someone going to kick down my door?
If we say anyone who is one an anime when they're too young, just think of it as if we're answering like a 5 to 10 year time skip version. Luckily, there is a time skip in
Gurren Lagann
because I think when she's first introduced, she's only like 14.
Yeah.
But you think about too, when we watched this anime for the first time, I was probably only like 15 or 16. So it also makes it a little bit more confusing.
Plus, I'm pretty sure they retconned Yoko later to be 18.
Yeah, probably just for safety's sake. I assume.
Yeah, just even based on what they did in the show, it's like, yeah, no, okay, we're sorry.
So who's your answer?
Well, I always base it off of who I'd want to spend time
Rena.
with.
Exactly, it's Rena.
That would have been my answer like 8 years ago. Sadly enough.
The girl from Future Diary.
Oh God, no.
Listen, she did a lot for her, man.
Listen, speaking of someone who's stuck their dick in crazy, it's not as fun as it seems.
It only works in anime, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. Honestly, I'd probably go with like Nadeshiko from Eurocamp.
Okay, I've never watched it, so it's
I
laid back. It's the one where they go camping, right?
Yeah,
which one is she? Like hair color wise?
Pink.
Okay.
Pink hair.
Yeah, I've seen her. Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually seen it, so I don't know. But I get those are our answers. Once again,
yeah.
If I actually like sat down and read these questions ahead of time and wanted to really think about it, then I could probably come up with a better answer.
Yeah, I did my best to go into this blind, so I could
yeah,
give honest
same
answers.
thing. I had to write all these questions down somewhere, but when I was writing them down, I was like, my brain was off. I was doing something else.
Especially just didn't get your wife to do it.
The only one that I'd prepped, which to be fair, I don't even know if this was actually. I think someone in here eventually asked our favorite anime, which we have something prepped for that. That was the only one we prepped for, though. Okay, next up, question number 11. What's an unpopular anime that you enjoyed, or maybe a guilty pleasure?
I'm going to start this one because I already know what your answer is.
Do you know what do you think? Okay, no, answer yours, then tell me what you think mine's going to be.
So last season there was a god awful anime called GB8.
Okay, yeah,
it was horrible across the board, but it was my favorite anime of the season because I just laughed through the whole damn thing.
Okay, I never watched it. I did see. I was watching. So it might have been Mother's Basement video.
They trashed it
about like the shittiest anime of like the year, and I think that was number 1.
Like just for an anime to crack a beer open and just laugh at everything they did wrong, that is my guilty pleasure in that.
Okay, what do you think mine was going to be?
I'm gonna say probably either Kiss X Sis or
fuck. It was really okay. I think that I don't think that people think Kiss X Sis is that bad. I think people just want to think it is. I think as a guilty pleasure, though, that's definitely my guilty pleasure anime, as well as like Please Teacher, stuff like that. Like I really
Domestic
did like
Girlfriend.
Oh my god, yeah, Domestic Girlfriend is pretty trash, but like that's the kind of trash I needed.
Yeah, I mean another one. This was one I enjoyed was probably Citrus.
I also like Citrus. Yeah, I enjoyed that for the same types of reason. It was pretty trashy.
Yeah, it was trashy, and I have a soft spot for Yuri, so it's
If I had to pick my guilty pleasure anime, it'd probably be Kiss X Sis. Or I mean, I don't even think this is really a guilty pleasure. Or on High School Host Club, I've watched that a shit ton of times. I'm sure some people probably think it's bad. A lot of people probably think it's good. It hasn't necessarily aged flawlessly, but I just watch
nothing
that.
ages flawlessly.
I watch that like once every 2 years. It's just like a Netflix anime to put on in the background.
I can't blame you at all for that one. That's actually a good option.
An unpopular anime that you enjoyed, if I was thinking at the time, I'm just gonna say it right now: Sword Art Online. When that came out originally, I watched it when it came out, and I thought it was really, really good. I loved MMOs. I see, obviously now I've aged, it's aged. I see all the parts of it that are bad, but even now I can ignore the parts that are bad and still like enjoy watching it. I'm never gonna argue with someone that's a good anime, but I can still argue that I enjoyed watching it, especially at the time. So yeah, that's definitely one that a lot of people think is pretty unpopular that I still like. So question number 12. This is kind of going off the other one, but it's a little bit more savage. What's a popular anime that you just completely hated?
Oh man.
I feel like this is gonna get some anger if I say some of these things.
I mean, yeah, this is a loaded question in every single capacity.
This is tough. Okay. This is gonna make some enemies right here, maybe even at this table and with a lot of my friends too. I tried multiple times and hated watching Evangelion. Which is a lot of people still have that in their top anime of all time.
I mean, I'm gonna wholeheartedly agree with you.
And I hated it. I just like I obviously maybe now, like last time I tried watching was probably like 6 years ago. Maybe as I've aged the last 6 years, but I've tried that show like 3 or 4 separate times, and I've always hated it. The characters drive me nuts. They piss me off.
Yeah. And
I just never want to fucking watch it.
I mean, I don't blame you in any way, shape, or form. I don't hate it. I think it's overrated. Come at me. I don't care.
Yeah, the fact that I've seen this in so many people's like top 10s, obviously I can't really tell people it's overrated because I haven't seen it all. But yeah, I don't know.
I watched it beginning to end, and I just don't understand why people love it so much.
I think it's just a nostalgia thing now because it's such a classic like anime at this point that it kind of. But yeah, that if someone like if you look at so many people's top 10s, it's in there. So if that's a popular anime, then I hated it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big problem is I think a lot of people have assigned meaning to shit that wasn't there. I always have this discussion whenever me and Mike
where they find something and they're like, oh yeah, I like this because it really touches on the depth of like the human soul when it comes to this element, and you're like, no, it doesn't do that.
It brings me back to like high school when you were talking to your English teacher and they're like, oh, the blue drapes symbolizes depression and him being walled off from the rest of the world. I'm like, no, it means the drapes are fucking blue.
Yeah, there's always this thing where if you as the viewer think that something's trying to be deep to be just for the sake of being deep, it like takes you out of it and you're like, no, thank you, I don't want that. And that's like what Neon. It always does it to me, and I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, this one is another older one that I'm going to put as mine forward, and I'm probably going to get crucified for this, but it's the original Berserk.
Oh, okay, yeah. I also, yeah. Obviously, if you said the 2016 Berserk, everybody would be like, yes, you're right.
That's honestly, I feel like they're almost even, and the reason is because I've read the manga and I know the source material. Everything about it just feels so mediocre and so lackluster. It just absolutely pisses me off.
I'm gonna listen, fucking Berserk fans. Berserk is just Goblin Slayer. Berserk is just Goblin Slayer episode number 1. Okay, come at me.
I mean, okay, wow, what the fuck?
Yeah,
that escalated.
It's just dark for the sake of being dark.
It's not even that. Like the source material is great, and then they just cut it off at the end. Like they just left the studio, just forgot to finish it.
Do you know what I liked more than Berserk? Claymore. Claymore was just better Berserk.
Oh wow,
fight me.
That's just mean. Jesus.
Fight me in the comments, please. I don't know. I think Berserk and Evangelion are both very popular shows that we both dislike. So I think we answered that.
I mean, I'm gonna say it again. It's just cutting to black, like you just forgot to finish the fucking series, pisses me off.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of those things where once again they thought they were being like really smart or deep and like, oh yeah, like now the fan gets to imagine what ending and it's just just give us a fucking ending.
I remember I had this conversation with Mike and he was like, oh well, it's just meant to be a trailer for the manga. It's like I don't want to watch a 26 episode.
Yeah, if I'm watching the anime, it's probably because I don't want to read the manga necessarily. For a lot of people, anyways.
Yeah.
Like.
And the sad thing is like years down the line, Mike lent me some of the manga and I read them. I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. And I thought the Berserk anime was over 50 episodes because it dragged so much.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the popular anime that we hated. Okay.
We're going to get crucified.
Next up, I know this question because I've been ready for it all day. I saw this and I was excited. What is your favorite piece of anime merch you own? So obviously I'm not going to pull out anything right now. I'll just edit in like a picture later. I think my favorite, because I have a lot. I did eventually, obviously when I was younger, I loved like wall scrolls.
Yeah.
As an adult, I've just thrown out all of my wall scrolls and I've switched to just, actually well done art and all hanging in frames. I think my favorite though are actually right there. They are images of the pains from Naruto. And it's not that I love the pains, even though I'm not gonna lie, I do. And it's not that I love Naruto, even though I do.
I mean, they're just really good art.
The guy who does those art, I picked them all up in Anime North, and he has a bunch of other characters. If I went back last year, or if like they were open this year, I'd be getting more. They're just really, really good. They're really, really stylized. I'll obviously have a picture that'll pop up here just about how good they look. That's probably my favorite though. I still, there's lots of things I bought. Like I bought a lot of swords, keyblades, stuff like that. But as you grow up, you really don't find that you have a place for those. But in something like our cool podcast anime studio, this anime merch that I can put up now, it actually is more important. And those are just, in my opinion, the best looking things I own. What do you got?
I don't have it because I've kind of fallen off on buying merch in the past years because I just don't have any fucking room.
Yeah, you run into a room, and a lot of it too is like, hey, I'm an adult. I can spend $500 in Anime North again.
Yeah.
Or I might have to, pay for a mortgage or something. So
yeah,
you're like, I have to buy only the most important things.
It's like, do I want this really cool piece of merch, or do I want to make my car payment this month?
A lot of it to me is like, do I want this piece of merch, or do I want to eat a super fancy all-you-can-eat sushi meal tonight?
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, food and experience is something that I pay for more than just like physical objects.
Yeah, because you realize you're not gonna like a lot of it you buy, and then like a year down the line you realize like, oh yeah, I still have that.
A lot of it, like I was really looking forward to going back because I wanted more stuff for the studio. Like I wanted to put up more shelving and have more stuff in the background.
Yeah.
So that's kind of sad. That I don't really want to buy it on Amazon. Half the time it's cheaper, but you're missing out on the experience of picking it up.
Yeah, and a lot of the time you're supporting like a smaller retailer who's doing this out of the love of the industry, right? So.
Yeah. So what's the favorite?
I feel bad because a lot of my figures over time have either been damaged or lost. But one of the big ones, this is one of the ones I got really early in my time as well. It's actually a simple necklace with the Wolfwood cross on it.
Okay, another Wolfwood thing. It's pretty cool. I got a Digivice at one point, which was really cool, and a little necklace with like the thing.
The crest.
Yeah, I don't even know where it went, but I really like that too. There was some. And like I've always wanted like the Dragon Ball set with all the Dragon Balls, or like Pokemon badges.
I do have a Pokemon badge set.
It's so hard for me to convince myself to get when they're like $50.
I managed to talk a guy down in Anime North once to give it to me for like 35, and I was like, yes. I just walked away with it.
Yeah, we'll probably get more into buying stuff at cons in one of the future questions. But yeah, we'll probably, if we have them, we'll put up pictures of the things we're talking about right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably have a second place one, which is I don't know if you ever watched Hitman Reborn.
I did, yeah.
But I got a set of the rings from that.
I was actually one of the questions I was half expecting was what's like the longest anime series you've seen, and I was guessing, I already knew what mine was obviously, but I was guessing yours was going to be Hitman Reborn.
It actually would be, yeah.
But we never got that question, unfortunately. But
because I've never watched all the way through Naruto. I'm still working on One Piece, so yeah, it's at just over 200 episodes. It would be.
But yeah, those are our favorite pieces of merch. As I said, if we have pictures, we'll put them up. Okay, and on to question number 14. This one continues directly from the last one. Is there any merch that you would theoretically want to buy, but can't bring yourself to actually buy it? And they give us an example here. I, for myself, definitely would have liked a body pillow, but there's a border of degeneracy I do not want to cross, especially with inviting other people into my home.
Yeah, I gotta wholeheartedly agree with that. Like, I've had a few moments where I've thought to myself, I'd really like this, but I cannot explain this to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I would be okay with something like that, but like I can't imagine myself having like a fucking full size like hentai poster, even hanging up in something like my anime room. I'd also have to censor it if it was in the background every single episode, which would be too much work. But even like honestly, I had some weird wall scrolls. Even when I started getting to anime, I had one that was like a Death Note one, except for it was like a shirtless Light Yagami holding like an apple with like Ryuk in the background.
Yeah, I feel like that was something you bought, you didn't realize what it was for.
Yeah, but even then though, like if I had that up now and like someone came to my house, they're like, "What the fuck do you got like a weird shirtless anime boy on your wall for?" I have a lot of like weird free ones too. I don't know if you saw them. They were like the sport poster ones.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They were cool, but I mean like they were questionable. But I don't know. The only merch that I'd really like to buy, as I mentioned in the last question, I liked more of those art by the same guy. I think just art's my biggest thing, especially like good people's art, like people who have a really different takes on stuff. Like I've seen so many really cool ones. I I'm a big fan of like Haikyuu, the anime, and I saw one where it's like all the Haikyuu guys like dressed up as like different anime characters, something like that. Like these like the people who are putting like their art out and they're putting their own spin on it. I just want more cool stuff like that, just to frame and put up around the room.
I think you got away from the point of the question though. It's like, what can you not bring yourself to buy?
Well, there's just two parts. There was like, what merch would I want? And then he just says like, for instance, he can't do that because of that. Yeah, I can't really think of anything, especially, okay, it's different because, I obviously, if you have your own house, you can theoretically have anything in it you want.
I mean, yeah, but
and like the only people coming to my house, I assume they already know I'm a degenerate, so I could really have anything as long as it's maintained in this one room. Because now that we're adults, I can no longer have like wall scrolls and anime art all over my house. It has to be limited to the anime space.
Yeah.
I've never been into the body pillow thing. I never really got it. I've always seen them and thought they were like funny in Anime North, and I know there are some people out there who are like crazy with it, who have like 40, 50 plus different like body pillows and stuff.
Yeah.
Or
like I think it's just how you sleep, because some people do like to have that thing to cuddle up with when they're sleeping.
Yeah.
So
if anything, obviously, if I'm picking more from now than when I was actually younger and going to these conventions, I probably said I would have bought a body pillow if I was wasn't so concerned about how my family would judge me.
Yeah.
I've also never bought any sort of hentai or any sort of like doujinshi or art books or anything like that.
Yeah.
Same thing, because I was young. Maybe I'd get one of those. That's about the best I can think about.
Maybe find one with some girls you like and just like, okay, yeah, I can.
Yeah. Maybe if I found one of like Usagi's mom, I'd pick that up.
I feel like you wouldn't have far to go.
And
for
I'd open it up and just hang it right there. Have it hung right
just
on
every
the
day
wall.
flip to a different page.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Oh, like a calendar. That'd be really good. Anything specifically for you? You still thinking about buying a body pillow? You just got to worry about how the family's going to judge you.
Now that I've grown a little bit, I don't think I would ever actually buy one. That was definitely a big thing when I was younger. It was like, I kind of want this, but I know I cannot get away with it.
I would kind of want like one for fun, like a comedy one. Of just like, I don't know who, just like maybe like a different male character, something like that, and just like have a pillow and like hang it up somewhere as like more like decoration for the set than actually using it as a pillow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's harder. Obviously now we're older. As I said, I have a house, so I have my own space, so I theoretically can buy anything and put it up without being too worried. I don't invite a lot of strangers into my house who are going to judge me. But yeah, if I had to think, it was just more about when I was younger, what I wouldn't have bought that I probably saw back then and thought like, when I first saw a body pillow, I was like, what the hell's that? I want that. But then I was like, I can't get that. So
yeah, I mean, the other thing would probably be just like those really high quality, super expensive figures you see sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's true. But I'm like, I can't spend money on that.
Yeah, like you're looking at, it's like, this is really nice and I love this character, but it's $400.
Or like, yeah, you get the really smexy figures too, and you're like, oh, I can't. It's like this big, and it's just like someone almost fully naked. It's like you find like a Yoko figure, and you're like, I really want this, but like,
I can't.
Where am I putting that?
Yeah, because I remember even at I think this was at Anime North, I found this one guy who's selling like discount figures, like they were pre-owned.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I really want this one figure of this character, but I can't think of anywhere I could put this where it wouldn't bring questions from people who came over.
That's true. Now I would totally buy those figures just to have them as background stuff, though. So hopefully,
I mean, a few of these would be the ones you'd have to censor, but
yeah, I guess if it's a little bit blurry in the background, we can get away with it. Maybe the natural blurriness of the camera will censor it for me. But yeah, I don't know. Even just going off of this question and the last question, I just really want to buy more stuff for like the studio and stuff in general. So hopefully one of these days we can go to a convention again.
Yeah, because just walking around the art room is amazing sometimes. So
yeah. So next up, question number 15, a little more personal. How did you meet each other? I don't know. I guess we went to the same school.
Yeah, it would have been in high school, I think.
You and most of my friends are one grade above me, though. I'm actually younger. I'm a young boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was probably in high school, but a lot of it was more. I feel like it probably just started. We had a mutual friend who was Mike, as we mentioned. I became friends with our other friend Devin after a party once. It's actually kind of funny. It's a funny story to this day because he thought I was fucking with him. We were walking down. I don't remember how we started hanging out, but we were like walking down a street somewhere, and I told him that I'm like, oh, I'm a fan of anime too, and he's like, oh, yeah, good one, man. Like, sure you are. And he thought I was like fucking making fun of him or bullying him or something like that. I'm like, no, dude, seriously, like I like anime. And I started like naming off all my favorite anime. He's like, oh wait, you're not fucking with me? Yeah. I'm like, no. And then from there we became really good friends just because we both liked anime.
True.
Through him, I started hanging out with our other friend Mike, who's really been into like comics, movies, anime, all that kind of stuff. We used to have a lot of like hangouts in his basement. Back in the day, we would just go in there watching shows or stuff like that. And then you were also friends with him, and you were also at those basement hangouts.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. I think the first time we actually had like a proper conversation might have been the first time we went to Anime North.
It might have been, yeah, honestly. Yeah, we went to, okay, how many years ago was that now?
Oh God,
7?
We were
8?
still in high school.
Yeah, it must have been more than that. Must have been like 11.
Yeah, it would be like 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah, this would have been my last year of high school. Yeah, so we went to a convention together. We went with me, you, and our two friends, Devin and Mike, who we just mentioned. It was our first like Anime North experience. It was actually one of like the most memorable ones because we also just met like a random stranger there who ended up literally hanging out with us the entire like weekend.
Yeah.
So it was like a little group thing, and yeah, it was kind of fun. We met new people. We were all like super young and super excited about being in this area. We're just everybody's walking down the streets in costumes. Like it blew our mind the first time we saw it.
The first time we saw cosplay, just driving along, it's like,
yeah. And then once you start partying with your friends in a hotel room for Anime North and seeing all this kind of stuff, creates bonds, right?
yeah.
So yeah, that was probably it. A lot of it was obviously we went to the same school, so we would have seen each other, known each other, but not much because you were a grade above me.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a very big school, but
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of it, honestly, was just mutual friends meshing into a little group where we did a lot of basement sessions. We'd be watching a lot of live action TV shows. We watch anime sometimes. A bunch of different
it's pretty much just whatever Mike happened to have downloaded that week.
It's true. Yeah, Mike used to be the anime guy.
Yeah, I can honestly say for a long time the anime I watched was curated by him.
Yeah, now I feel like him and our other friend Devin always recommend anime that they've never even seen.
I mean,
and then they never watch it.
I can fully attest that Mike has always done that.
Okay, our friend Mike is the worst. I hope he's. I'm going to send him just this part, exclusively. I recommend anything to him to watch. I'm like, hey, listen, here are all the reasons you're going to love this, and he's like, oh yeah, but I want to finish the manga or something first. But he never reads it, so he never watches something because he always wants to finish the original source first, but he never does that. Like I remember when Charlotte came out, I kept telling him, I was like, you should watch Charlotte. I just want you to get to this part.
Didn't he start it?
Probably, but at the time it was like, oh, I can't watch it because I want to read the manga first, but I'm never going to read the manga, so I'm never going to watch it, and it's always just this big circle.
I mean, for me, the big thing was he would always give me, because he used to just like give me like a hard drive or some DVDs to watch, because I had absolute garbage internet, so I couldn't download this stuff. And like half the time he wouldn't watch it, and I was kind of his guinea pig.
You'd go to him and be like, "Oh, Mike, this was really good." He'd be like, "Oh, good. I haven't seen it. Well, that's good to know."
I mean, that happened with Devin because it was like I think it was another. He recommended it to me, so I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll check it out." Devin knows a little bit about horror. I watched it. It's like, "Yeah, that was really good." It's like, "Oh, good. I'll go watch it." Then it's like, "You son of a."
The same thing happened to me, except for with Attack on Titan. He's like, "Yo, Cam, you should watch Attack on Titan." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll give it a try." I watched season 1. I was like, "Devin, how fucking crazy was that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I haven't seen it, but like it was good." And I'm like, Why would you recommend something you haven't seen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the ones that stick out to me most are the two of my least favorite anime of all time are School Days and Kanokon. And they're both things Mike recommended to me because they were supposed to be good slice of life animes.
Mike to this day still says I'm the main character from School Days, which I don't think is a compliment. But
I mean, I haven't beaten you around the head yet, so no, you are not.
But yeah, honestly, it's probably the same way a lot of people met each other, just mutual friends, especially when you're in high school. Yeah, okay. On to question number 16. What countries have you guys traveled to, and what stood out the most from that country? I have only been to technically 3 countries. I went to Scotland when I was like 1, because that's where half my family's from. My mom was born there. I've been to the States, obviously. We're from Canada. I feel like we've mentioned that before. But I've been to the States. I went to Myrtle Beach, North Carolina. And then I went to Dominican Republic when I was 16 for a week-long vacation.
Okay.
What stood out the most to me? Honestly, I hated Dominican Republic. I hate beach vacations. I was 16, even though I was actually allowed to drink when I was 16. My dad's like, you know what? Sure, let him drink if he wants to. Not joking. I am the most responsible drinker in the world, probably. Even mostly to this day. But when I was 16 and had permission to drink as much as I wanted, I would only drink like a drink every 2 hours. I wouldn't drink one while swimming. And I already drank like the biggest bitch drinks anyways. My parents like, no, you can have more than that. And I was like, no, that's enough. Like, let's not get crazy. And then I literally, to this day, I'm like 28 years old and I only drink on special occasions. I've never gotten sick from being drunk. Whenever I get drunk, I feel like I'm just the best. I feel like everyone has a good time, but I've never gone too far. But honestly, I hated the beach vacation. I find them really boring. It's too hot to do anything. All people do is swim and drink, which not my favorite things. Myrtle Beach was pretty crazy. Just insane. There was like roller coasters on the side of the park. You know, we went to like aquariums, went into the ocean. We did like a dolphin viewing thing, bunch of cool shit there. And then I obviously don't remember anything about Scotland because I was 1. I intend to go back. Obviously, me and my wife got married. That's why she's my wife. And we were going to take a honeymoon, going around Europe and Scotland and that kind of stuff, and visit some of the places where my mom was born and stuff like that. But all the flights and that kind of shit's all fucked up. So
yeah,
eventually though, we're going to go around Europe and see some of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I had to pick one of them. Honestly, my favorite part was just the drive. We actually drove to Myrtle Beach, which was a 17-hour drive, and it was really fun. It was just me, my dad, my sister, my mom. Big drive. My sister and my mom would just give them some gravel so they'd like fuck off and fall asleep, and then me and my dad would just be chilling. And yeah, we drove through like Virginia and all the different places, and it was my first time leaving the country, and it was just cool. We drove through New York. Yeah, lots of fun. Nothing in the actual places. It's kind of sad. People are like, "Oh yeah, do you fucking ride a dolphin and triple backflip off it and punch a shark?" And I'm like, "Nope. I just liked driving through these pretty lame places in the States. To be honest, it was just fun."
I mean, I honestly can't blame you. I have not traveled nearly as much as you have. I've literally been to Quebec, which is the same country, and I've been to the U.S.
Listen,
4
sometimes
times.
Quebec feels like it's a different country. Okay, they want it to be a different country, but
it does. That's the only reason I count it. And even
they have sideways streetlights, guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're also shaped because most of Quebec is colorblind.
It's true.
But yeah, other than that, I've been to the U.S. 4 times: Cleveland, New York, Philadelphia, and
how many
Boston.
of them were for some sort of music trips?
All of them.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The biggest thing I took away is that I got to play a saxophone on a battleship, which I don't think a lot of people get to say. But
I have actually never played a saxophone on a battleship. Funny fact. That's actually pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, that was
Can you please one day have custom art drawn of you just on like the head of a battleship with a saxophone and just like an epic background of like fucking explosions going on? You know what? Maybe,
I will do that for the 1,000 subs. I will commission that art for that.
Perfect. Yeah, obviously, like anybody, I want to travel more, but I don't really give a fuck about being like, hey, I want to go to Fiji and sit on a beach, or I want to go to this place and sit on a beach. I want to go to Scotland just because I like a lot of Scottish things. It's in my blood. I want to go to places like Rome and Greece.
Something more cultural as opposed to just a relaxing vacation.
Yeah, there's other stuff too. Like I'd really like to go to like Iceland and stuff like that, just because some of the sites there are crazy. Bring my camera, take some really sick photos.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big question always is like Japan. A Weeb's paradise. I've always like wanted to go to Japan, but I've never been as obsessed with it as a lot of other people have been.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a really cool idea until you realize the amount of logistics involved.
Yeah, obviously, when you're like 16 and an anime fan, you want to go to Japan and be super cringy and say all the fucking Japanese slang and stuff like that. But I don't know. As you grow older, it's like, yeah, I would want to go there, but I don't want to go there because anything really to do with anime. Just some of the sites are really cool, and sometimes it just feels like a whole different world.
Yeah, just going anywhere that's completely separate from your own culture is definitely something I want to do. I mean, I've always wanted to go to Britain and Germany because that's tied to my family.
Yep.
We were talking about plans about doing that at one point, but COVID happened. So
yeah, that's standard.
And going to Japan is definitely one of those things I want to do, but the moment I think to myself, it's like, okay, I'm going to need a translator. I'm going to need a phrase book. I'm going to need to book a hotel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times these days you see a lot of these anime YouTubers or even just like English vloggers in Japan, and they always kind of talk about how to make it easier when you're traveling there and how it is a lot easier than it used to be. But yeah, it is also an expensive trip too. And I don't know, both me and my wife are really, really brutal at like planning and doing stuff. Yeah. So a trip to me that sounds like we have to do a lot of the planning. It just seems like we're going to like be so like we're going to procrastinate on it so hard. So a lot of what we want to do is just do like some sort of actual trip where they take you to some of these places.
Yeah, just buy a package.
Yeah, like we want to go to Scotland. We want to go to like Dublin and Ireland, stuff like that. Like a lot of these, we just want to go to places that look really nice, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, neither of us have been crazy outside of the country. We haven't been traveling. Like I think my mom's been to like 60 countries or something like that. But both my parents were military, so they went around all the time. But yeah, I'd like to travel a little bit more. I feel like early 30s is a good time to do that, though. So
I mean, yeah, you're not. Like, I think the prime time for a lot of people is like fresh out of college or fresh before college.
Before they have children and responsibilities and permanent jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that you just don't appreciate a lot of this shit.
Yeah, you just want to go, and as I said, you want to go to these like beach party places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I'd gone to Japan at the age of 18, I probably wouldn't have come back.
Yeah, you're like, this is my home now.
It's not even that. I probably would have ended up dead in a sewer somewhere.
Listen, okay. I've always had the dream about going to Japan and being like Mr. Charismatic, I'm like, listen, I'm a tall white dude. I always wanted, obviously, when I was like 16, like any anime fan, I was a huge fan of Asian women. That actually happened before I was even into anime. I don't know what it is.
Everyone has a type.
Yeah, I don't know. But when I was a kid, like Lucy Liu, Chef's Kiss was my favorite. But I always thought that like, I'll just become a teacher. I'll go to teach in Japan and I'll be like Mr. Charismatic. Like all the people want me there.
Right.
Since then I've obviously grown out of that phase, but that was like 15-year-old me. That was my thought. That was what I thought life was going to be. I'm like, yeah, I'll be so tall. They're all just going to think I'm just, because I look so different, I'll be crazy. And never ended up happening. But, maybe one day still. But yeah, that's those are the places we've been to. And we added a little bonus about which place would we like to go to. So, What's your favorite anime opening off the top of your head? Is question number 17. That's a tough one because it says off the top of your head. I think I have two.
Okay.
For different reasons. Just off the top of my head, I can think of it as easy because I have a anime opening playlist, which I typically used to work out. And these two are, I think one of these isn't even on there. But my two that I'm going to put, one's obvious, one's slightly less obvious. So one is, Gurenge by Lisa. It's the first opening to Demon Slayer.
Okay,
to
yes.
Kimetsu no Yaiba, which I just think is a fucking banger. It's just
It is. That one trail off into the... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really, really good anime opening. She also does like a lot of songs for Sword Art Online. She I think it was called Crossing Fields or something, which they all are really, really good. But that's probably like the best one.
Yeah.
And then my other one is called History Maker by Dean Fujioka, which is the opening to Yuri on Ice.
You know what? I've heard the opening before, and it is really amazing.
The opening is done in full English. But I don't know. It's just really, I don't know what it was about that opening too. The opening was just all like a pastel colored, like them skating around and like the animated movements and stuff like that. And I just loved the opening, and the song is still just fantastic. So those would be my big two. I'm going to separate it to two instead of just one because they're two very, very different openings, and I like them for different reasons. So those are my two.
I'm going to do the same thing as you. I'm going to give two different answers for two very different reasons. One's going to be the very iconic opening, which is the opening to Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
From back in the day.
Yeah, it's a Tank by something. I don't remember.
I'm horrible with music names. I don't know why.
Very jazzy though. You're not going to find many openings like that. Like at least I don't know. It's a lot more. Most of them are like J-pop, J-rock, stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
but that's like jazz.
It is that. I was going through a bit of a jazz phase when I was getting into it, so that definitely spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
Something a little more recent is going to be the original opening to Fire Force.
Oh yeah, that's like literally one of my top two most played songs on Spotify. That and Fire by Queen Bee, which is the first opening to Do 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 Do.
Yeah,
those are like my big. Those are like my big working out jams. But yeah, I don't know. Those are both really good picks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So those are our picks for openings. I think we've discussed openings before a little bit. I don't think we've just come up with our absolute favorite ones.
Yeah, I think we've just done like a little bit of comparison. Like, what do we think of this versus this? And
yeah. So yeah, that's question number 17. On to question number 18. I'm trying to think about this. We pretty much answered this. So what's the popular anime you guys don't like, and what would be your worst take on an anime? I mean, we'll skip the popular anime you don't like because we literally discussed that.
Yeah.
Worst take on an anime, though, if I had to think of actually like something specific.
Like first impressions, or
I'm just thinking like even it doesn't have to be like an anime that you don't think is good. I'm just thinking about something in an anime that I didn't think was as good as people thought.
Okay.
Like people like, oh, I really liked this specific part in this anime, and I'm like, no, that's actually bad. Like that would be like my worst take on it.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to think of something specifically because it is very close to one of the other questions that we were asked.
Yeah, like I can also give you my worst impressions after the fact of an anime.
Okay.
This is because way back in the day I watched Oremo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know which one that.
I do, of course.
And because I was still Weeb lit at the time,
I thought it was good.
It wasn't even that. I just kind of walked away from it. It's like, okay, that was okay. Then I found out what it was about later when I found out about the second season. I'm like, wait, that's what that show was about?
Yeah. That I just don't get it. I mean, I can't even possibly argue that this is a worst take on an anime because I hope most people in the world agree. I don't like incest in anime.
I mean, yeah, that's something that most people I think are against. But
whoa, guys, bold take. We do not like incest.
But it's just one of those things. Like I'm just thinking of like the worst impressions. Like that just like really soured my taste for a lot of anime I watched back then because it was like, oh wow, what else did I miss?
Yeah, I don't know. Just in general, if I had to pick like, I don't know, worst takes, I can't really think of any specifically. Like I'm trying to think of something that people loved, and I was like, no, I actually don't like this because of this reason.
Yeah.
But most of that we already covered. I'm trying to think of, really, I can't really think of one. We kind of already talked about most of them for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of the shows we were going to trash talk have already been trashed.
Yeah, so we'll skip the rest of that one for now. As I said, we've pretty much answered that before. Question number 19, which is the other Attack on Titan one. Do you think Eren will collect all the Titan powers? And do you think Mikasa will kill Eren in the end? So the manga hasn't ended yet. The anime hasn't ended yet. So we know no spoilers about this at all.
Yeah.
So these are just our opinions of what's going to happen. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do not think Eren's going to get any more Titan powers.
Yeah.
I think that if any of the other Titans are killed throughout this, they're going to be killed and their Titan power is going to be lost for now. Or something in the anime is going to happen where like some sort of world building thing changes, and all of a sudden people like the Titan power dies by the end of it. Like it's no longer a thing by the end of the series.
Yeah, which I think is a good way to do it. I think them trying to just get rid of Titans in general to kind of even out Eldians would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron's just going to collect all the rest of the Titans. I don't think this is like an Ash Ketchum collect them all kind of situation. I think he's done with the ones he currently has. That's my opinion, anyways.
I mean, I don't think he'll collect any more either, because at this point, what other powers does he have to add to it? He already is hardening, so the Armor Titan doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The Card Titan is the Card Titan.
Yeah, there's just like, it wouldn't really make sense. A lot of them right now, they have a very specific power based around like their form kind of thing too. And they're not going to change what Aaron looks like. So I don't think he's going to become like Beastie by taking like a Beast Titan. I don't think, like, what the hell is the point of a Cart Titan if he walks on 2 legs and like, I can't see it happening.
Like, you might be able to argue something like the Jaw Titan just to reinforce the jaw, but at this point, does he really need it if he has the Warhammer Titan?
Yeah, I think that he's good with what he currently has, and I think that's going to be the end of it. Now, once again, we could be wrong, but that's just our take on that.
It seems like he was trying to take the Beast or the Jaw Titan. So
yeah, I don't think it'll be from a lack of trying. I feel like in their mind, if they don't know any limitations about how many Titans you could have, so why not have them all?
I mean, that is definitely a possibility, and I think that might have crossed Aaron's mind, but I don't think they're going to just actively hand him everything.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen anyways. As for the next part of that question, do you think Mikasa is going to kill Aaron? That's obviously a very understandable theory, especially with what we've seen in the past little while. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think that's too close to the end of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I think it's literally Mikasa then would be the Jon Snow in this situation. Aaron is obviously kind of getting to like that Daenerys end season. And I don't think I need to state this, but a lot of people didn't like the end of that season. So I think that the anime is going to stick away from it. The obvious answer is that Aaron has become such a monster by the end of it that the person who loves him the most in the world is the one who has to stop him. And the only way to stop him is by killing him. And even like Aaron probably accepts it at the very end. So it's a very understandable theory, but I can't. I think it's too obvious right now. And I don't think Attack on Titan is going to take the too obvious way.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a much better way they can do it. It's a little bit tropey. And at the same time, I almost picture Aaron going out with more of a swan song, something similar to Lucian R2.
Yeah. Yeah, like we hope at the very end, Aaron actually, he has that little bit of humanity left, and he uses his last little bit of humanity at the end to make a choice that affects them all kind of thing. Yeah,
because, I mean, they've established that Titans can technically live for very, very long times, as established by the Titans living in the walls. So I almost... This kind of goes against what I said before, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did something where Aaron kind of took the powers into himself and just sealed himself away.
Yeah, and somehow like stopped himself from dying instead. Like,
yeah, because I mean, if Titans can theoretically live indefinitely,
yeah, well, but they've stated that like obviously the human Titans can't; they only have a certain amount of length. But like if they find some sort of way to stall that out or something like that, like maybe if you get all the Titan powers, maybe you do stay. So maybe Aaron does try to do that. So
yeah, because I mean, the question is because they've established that there are Titans in the walls, right? Mm-hmm. And in theory, they're still alive.
Yep.
I mean, wouldn't they have been made by humans?
I think that it's like the show wants to think there's a difference anyways between humans that are permanently turned into Titans and humans that have the option to shift.
True. That would be.
But yeah, and it's not that having Mikasa kill Aaron would make sense. You can actually like write that from a pretty easy perspective and make it sense, like have it make sense. I just don't think. I think it's too obvious for Attack on Titan, anyways.
Yeah,
that's my guess. Obviously, we don't know.
They've done a really good job subverting most of our expectations. So
yes. Okay, on to question number 20. A big one right here from a cultured man.
Oh God!
What is your favorite hentai? The hardest part here is knowing the names. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's any like real classics, but I don't think so. Do you have an answer?
I'm trying to think of one. This is one of the questions I was worried was going to come up.
Well, I knew there was going to be one man of culture inside the thing asking this. So okay. Obviously, there's studios, right? Some studios have a good name, some have a bad name. Let's talk about one with a bad name right away. Queen Bee. Do you know who Queen Bee is?
I can honestly say I do not know any studios.
Wow, he's not degenerate enough, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the issue with Queen Bee. So they have like the hottest character designs, and they have like the best plots. They have like the perfect setups, but it's pretty much like watching a flip book. The like animation is so bad, you might as well just draw all these things and flip a page.
Okay.
So it's really bad in that sense, but they always have like the best setups, and then you're always so disappointed. I've heard so many people talk about this in the past. So that's a disappointment. I think that I don't want to Google this, but okay. And this is going to go against what I just said because I said that I hate incest in anime. Okay. And I'm going to stick to that point real fast. And I can't think of the name. I'm going to find the name for you guys though, because this is the question. How am I going to find this name? That's the big one here. There is a hentai. I don't know how long it's been out for, but it is literally based around there's a character and there's his blonde sister, but she's like either a half sister or a stepsister. So in anime, that's legit. That's okay. Real life, no. Anime, yes.
The sad thing is, I think I know which one you're going to say.
She has like children.
Not the one I was thinking of.
Okay, I can't think of the name of it, and I'll never be able to find it since it's a very Japanese name. I don't even know if it has an English name. I think it's more recent though. It's probably within like the past year or so. But at the same hentai and anime are very different. I don't know like the tier list for hentai. I don't know like what's popular, who are popular creators. I've heard a lot of stuff about Queen Bee, as I've discussed before. Even watching stuff like the Trash Taste, they talked about it in one of the episodes.
I mean, I can honestly say that anytime I've dealt with hentai, I've not thought to myself, man, I need to know who drew this.
I don't know. Some things like how bad the animation are. There's a studio called Pink Pineapple who are like the best, in my opinion, for like just how their actual characters look and stuff like that. If you're looking at it from more of a hentai as art perspective.
Okay.
Because it's like anime, right? If the characters are drawn really, really nice and the animation looks fluid, you're going to like that no matter what.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie. I'm not into like shit like... there's a lot of like almost like isekai setups in them, or there's like fantasy ones. I'm not into like a guy going to fuck like 4 elves. I don't know why. Don't get me wrong. In real life, I would love elves. But for hentai, for some reason, I want realistic stories.
I think it's the idea of trying to superimpose yourself into it.
There's also okay, this is a more of a not a hentai, but just like a porn fashion the past like 4 years. There's this stupid fucking genre where it's like my stepsister gets caught in the dryer, and you're just like, I can't believe that for a second. I need to literally see the statistics of how big the dryer is, how she possibly gets stuck in that to even believe the setup. So to me, for some reason, there needs to be a realistic sense. I almost need to like be like, oh yeah, maybe this is real. Maybe this wasn't planned and filmed for me to really be into it.
Okay, so you're the guy who, when you watch something, you have to be able to believe that this woman fell in such bad time she's paying for pizza with sex.
Yes, exactly. I need to actually 100% believe it. And the same to me is with hentai. I need like a story that's like actually like set up well so I can believe, okay, this is a story. And this may sound vanilla. There's even been a hentai before where it's just about like a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and then the girlfriend has to like, her parents move and she has to like live with him. And then they live together, and then obviously they have sex. And I was like, believable story. If that happened to me when I was a teenager, it probably the same layout. I was like, I believe that, but the characters and stuff were drawn well enough, and the animation was good enough. I'm pretty sure it was Pink Pineapple. Don't know the names, but I apologize to whoever asked this question. The fact that we didn't have names and stuff prepped, but once again, we tried going with this blind.
Yeah, I mean, I could honestly I could probably list off like features. I couldn't tell you the name offhand. So
yeah, in the future, we're gonna do a hentai episode at some point, anyways, maybe for the 1K subs.
I know you want to do that.
So that one will actually have them more prepped, and we'll be able to get into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah,
close
just as a rule of thumb, just anything that does not feature a lot of incest or anything that's overly creepy.
As I said, I don't want like a fucking fantasy anime with like 7 orcs like banging a chick or something like that. Not believable to me, and also like the ugly bastard thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
that's a no thank you. That's a no thank you at all. The boys need to be just as pretty as the girls in the hentai.
Yeah, you have to be able to look at it and think like, okay, I can like both sides of this equation. You can't just look at it and go like, why would I be the ugly bastard in this situation?
Yeah, not a fan of those. But if that's your thing, I'm not gonna kink shame you. So good for you.
You do you, man. You do you.
But yeah, in the future we'll probably get into this a little bit more deeper when we have a specific time to do so. Okay, next up, question number 21. What is your most memorable moment in anime? So what's like a moment that something happened and you're like, oh fuck, and you still remember this to this day? There's obviously probably a few. If you try and think of some that are at the top, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a specific.
I'm gonna say right now that this will probably have spoilers. If you didn't already expect that, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, skip to the next timestamp if you don't want spoilers.
One of them I'll say right now from looking at my wall. When Kamina died in Gurren Lagann. Yeah, that's very memorable to me.
That was a huge turning point. The death of Wolfwood and Trigon was probably a heavy hitter for me.
Mm-hmm. To me, these are all going to be deaths apparently. The death of Ace in One Piece and just the whole arc.
Ace dies.
Yeah, the whole arc where Luffy goes to save him and stuff like that, and then they're actually during the battle and he dies. That to me, super memorable. Early days, these are all going to be deaths. The death of L in Death Note.
Yeah, that was a huge one. Another more recent one would probably be. Is
this a death?
No, actually, it'd be, oh my god, Tanjiro versus the Lower Moon in Demon Slayer.
Oh, in episode number 19.
Yeah,
yeah,
like the one that a lot of people kind of reference and.
Yeah, actually, that was mostly memorable because like the animation was really good.
It was the animation, the music, the timing, everything was just handled perfectly, and it really kind of dialed in that modern anime does have these moments too.
It's true. And it also, that's the first thing on our list that isn't just a death, because obviously deaths are very memorable, especially when we're attached to the character.
Yeah.
But having memorable moments without death is also pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a death, but like United States of Smash is another one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that, not really a death.
It was more a culmination of an arc. Like, it was the death of All Might as a hero, but
That's like that to me is like relatable to like the moment where Captain America in Endgame finally says like Avengers Assemble. You know? United States of Smash.
it was a passing of a torch.
Yeah, big moment. Technically, no one even died there, so not a death.
I mean, you're right, but you get what I was saying.
I get what you're saying. It's like the death of his like hero arc in his own way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was a big moment. To me, other things, this is more generic. I love time skips in anime, and time skips to me are always memorable. Like the first episode coming back from like a 2-year time skip in both like Naruto Shippuden, One Piece, stuff like that is always like really memorable to me. Like the first episode after, because I
really
just get
gotta
so
watch more
hyped to
One
see the
Piece.
characters. Yeah, no, I think those would probably be like some of the biggest ones I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
there are other ones too, like for instance, like the Rem confessing her love for Subaru and like ReZero.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of romance animes, if they actually just cash in the chip, it can be a huge thing. This is one you're not going to know, but there was an anime called Secret of Nokizaka Haruka.
Okay.
And there's a scene where the main character and the girl actually, it's heavily implied that they actually hook up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time in anime I ever realized like they could actually go past just this
like
fucking
they could have like
cringy
adult themes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like where they went past the cringy, like they don't ever admit it to each other thing. So that was a huge revelation for me back then.
So that reminds me of one of the other ones. One of my big memorable moments is always a Clannad after story. Because like fucking that shit was always so sad to me. It's one of the earliest like slice of life drama, and then like obviously very sad animes I saw.
Yeah, another one would be something like Air TV, and
yeah. So even like the Clannad actually had a movie that was like the whole show condensed into like an hour and a little bit, and it had like a different ending. And there's a moment where he obviously has a child with his wife. His wife passes away, and then he gives the child to her parents because he can't look at the child because it looks too much like his wife. Yeah. And there's a moment where like the child, when she's like 4 or 5, meets the dad again, and she like runs up to him. Still remember it as clearly, and I haven't seen that for 15 years. So
oh my god, I can't believe you just brought that back at me. God damn it.
Good moments though. That's no one. I mean, there's a death in that in general, but that's like that's the moment I remember the most, and that's not a character dying. It's just like an emotional reunion between two people. But yeah, those are some of the most memorable moments we can think of. I'm sure we missed some big ones, but the whole point is that we need to be able to think of these off the top of our head for them to be as memorable as they are. Okay, question number 22. I think we kind of touched on this, but we'll go over it a little bit more. What was the first anime you watched that got you into anime?
I mean, are we talking like OG, or are we talking like in our modern watching here?
I'm thinking modern. I'm thinking like the one where you watch this and you're like, this is fucking anime. Like, is anime like this? Because I'm going to watch more of it.
Okay.
Even if there's like a specific part or something like that.
So I'll lead this one off. It's going to be one of two. I can't remember which one I watched first. It's either going to be D. Greyman or Higurashi.
Okay. I also watched D. Greyman, and I was a big fan of that too.
Yeah. Those were the two I kind of opened up my reintroduction to anime with, and kind of branched off from there. So
if I'm thinking of specific parts, not just anime, because I always talked about how I watched Naruto early on. The first real arc in Naruto, which is the Zabuza Haku arc.
Right.
It's only, I don't know, like 20, 30 episodes in. And that was like the first like 20, 30 episodes of anime I ever saw. And when I got to that arc and like how emotional it was with like Zabuza dying, even though he was like the villain, but then you actually cared when he died. And I was like, this is anime. And I was, like tearing up like the Haku stuff. And I was like, okay, like this, I can get into this. And that's from there that's where like stuff like Fullmetal Alchemist started airing, and eventually watched like Death Note. So that would be like the early one to me would just be like the specific arc, the very first arc of anime I've ever seen, which would have been the Zabuza Haku arc from Naruto.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's like I was like, whoa, anime can be like, obviously we knew about stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I was like, anime can be like emotional. They're taking a villain character. It's not like I never really feel bad for Team Rocket and Pokemon, but this one I'm genuinely feeling bad for the villain. He's I'm like crying for him and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'm down. This is anime. I'm ready for it. So yeah, that would be that. Okay, question number 23. What advice do you have for someone just getting into anime? So I have a piece of advice, but I'll let you go first.
I was going to say never trust the Reddit recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Why, have you gotten a bad Reddit recommendation?
I mean, you know the running joke. Someone's like, what's a good anime to get into? It's like, oh, Boku no Pico, and just like all that
true,
crap.
Yeah. People trolling. Mine is, I've discussed this many times, not on the podcast before, but even though you love anime, you shouldn't let it become your identity.
Yeah.
For me, for instance, like obviously if I'm a fan of let's say I'm a fan of Fullmetal Alchemist, obviously. I don't want to walk out in public in the mall with like my Edward Elric coat on and, you know, like my Fullmetal Alchemist buttons and stuff on me. Because if someone can tell everything about your personality from looking at you, and then there's really nothing to talk about. There's nothing, you don't get to meet people. I love meeting people and talking to them. And then when they find out I'm an anime fan, they're like, oh, you like anime? I wouldn't have guessed. I'm like, that's perfect. You've learned something about me from talking to me, not from looking at me.
Yeah.
So if you're like an early fan of getting into anime, I know it's really, really tempting to just like go heavy out on like the real life cosplay and the merch, and you want everyone immediately to know that you like anime because you found this thing. But there's something nice about having that, you know, in yourself, and then obviously never be like afraid to tell people you like anime. But it doesn't need to be everything you're about.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to know every single thing about me just from looking at me. I want them to have a conversation, to find out I like anime, I like video games, I like working out, all these different aspects of my character. I just, you know, if I could walk around holding a dumbbell with a, you know, a Charizard hat on, and people are going to be like, hey, that guy likes working out and Pokemon. But I don't want that to be the case. I want them to have to talk to me first. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really tempting because we've all been that young anime fan who's just wanted to put every single button on your bag when you go to school, you know, who wants to, you know, just have all like their background to everything they have to be anime. And, you know, it's tempting. It's really hard to not do that, especially when you're new. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something to me about like
not letting it take over your life is
don't let it take over your life. You know, anime isn't everything. It's great, but you need to have a balance between everything else. And yeah, I don't know. You'll find better like friendships and stuff like that from like, you know, liking a person for who that person is instead of just like what their interests are.
Yeah.
And then honestly, if you meet someone you like and they don't like, for instance, another piece of advice I have is don't necessarily go looking to date someone based off if they're an anime fan or not.
Yeah, I can honestly say that's how you stick your dick in crazy and it doesn't go well.
I have never really dated a fan of anime, but like for instance, my wife now, she has watched specific anime she likes, and she stuff like, you know, she's seen a couple animes even without me, but she wasn't an anime starting off. You know, she saw some of the ones, she got interested in it. But to me, like, I don't know, trying to find someone, there's so many people online who are like, I'm an anime fan, so I must date also an anime fan.
Yeah.
Again, the life doesn't work like that. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's kind of letting it take over your life because you want to share everything with this person and you want to just have that same interest. Doesn't mean you're gonna like the same genre, because I think one of the things I would recommend too, this is getting away from what you said. Don't treat anime as a genre. Treat it as a medium.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anime is just a form of delivering something to us. That's why there's different genres of anime. Even when people say there's always the debate on like is Avatar an anime, stuff like that. I was like, you know what? It's animated, and to me, like, it hits all these different parts the same as an anime does. It's just saying, like, someone out there saying that they don't like something because it's anime, to me, it's like super stupid.
Yeah, it's like saying I don't like this because it's a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the mediums. They a lot of stuff that works really well about anime is that it's stuff that is too hard or too expensive to do in stuff like live action. So it's like the perfect medium for some things. But other people being like, oh, I don't want to watch a slice of life anime. If I wanted to watch slice of life, I would just watch like real TV. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just the way that they're choosing to it be delivered to you.
That is largely personal choice, but
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. Just pretty much the point of that is just don't let anime be your entire life. You know, also don't hide it if you love anime. Obviously, I don't recommend.
Don't be ashamed and just let it develop like any other interest. Just don't dive head first.
Yeah, you know, take your time. You know, anime is not going anywhere. It's getting more popular every single year. So you know, let the love slowly sink in. Okay. Next up, what is the worst beginner anime to start with?
Oh God, you actually put that in there?
Yeah, the worst beginner anime to start with.
Okay, I've got two separate answers here. Neither of them are an actual answer.
Okay, I'm curious.
The first one is going to be anything that relies heavily on other series references to make its point. Okay. Something like Konosuba, that's entire purpose is to take the piss out of the isekai genre.
Yeah,
or something like Okami and her Seven Companions or something like that. You're not going to get it if you haven't watched anime.
Yeah, exactly.
So pitching that to them, they're just not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's literally the entire like point of Konosuba is making fun of all the tropes and stuff and all the other isekai series. So if you haven't watched any of the isekai series, you're not going to get what most of the funny parts are. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The other one would just be anything that is just flat out bad, like GBA, and they don't get the joke. But
yeah, that's true. I feel like you really have to earn. You have to earn your way up to watching a bad anime. Yeah, I don't think you can just start your first day and have like a guilty pleasure anime. You need to really watch a lot of good shows, watch a lot of bad shows, and then eventually you get to have a guilty pleasure anime.
Yeah, eventually you just look at something, it's like, this is bad. I objectively know this is bad. I'm still going to watch it.
To me, it's hard for me to think about just anime that people shouldn't start off with. I honestly do think that a lot of people are going to start off with a shonen, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Some people out there are just like so I don't know. They're so like petty about shonen anime. They're like, oh no, don't start with a shonen anime, or else you'll become like a basic bitch watcher. The shonen does better than any other genre at like getting a person hyped, right? Getting a person pumped up. As I said, even with sports animes, it makes me want to go out and play a sport. Makes me want to go out and be active. Gets me so excited while watching it. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you like a basic bitch anime watcher if you know your first series isn't the most like niche anime in the world.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. A lot of people get caught up in just trying to watch something super specialized or something that isn't going to get them kicked out of a subreddit, I think is one of the jokes. But
if anything, the one I'll say don't watch first is One Piece, just because it's too fucking long.
Yeah, you'll never finish it. You're going to burn out. You're going to stop watching anime.
It's too big of a commitment. I honestly say that for like your first anime series, try watching some really well reviewed animes that are like in the 11 to 13 episode time frame.
Yeah,
it's not a huge commitment. Then from there, obviously you're going to find some really good shows around the 25 episode, and then once you start making past then you get the really good shows like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is like about like a 70 episode, and it's just you don't want to start with something that's 900 episodes long.
Yeah, something that's probably finished is a good way to do it as well, because if you watch something like Hunter x Hunter that doesn't have an ending, or One Piece, even if you do get to the ending, you're just left on a cliffhanger.
You want to watch something that satisfies you by the end, something that you can start and finish. There's a lot of really good shows I'd recommend, but that's not really the point here.
Yeah, I mean, if you are looking for something to start with, maybe just type in some of the genres you like and just type anime in and see what comes up.
Yeah, honestly, as I said, a lot of people out there try just looking up like best anime of all time lists and going to stuff like that, but a lot of those shows are either like older, so I don't always recommend you start with an anime from like the 80s, because it's going to be hard for you to really get into with like the how far animation has come and stuff like that.
Jumping straight into something like Cowboy Bebop nowadays may not be the best option.
Yeah, it's not that it's not a great show. Maybe you watch other shows first that gets you into anime, you're a fan, and then you go back to watch stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I don't know, to me it's really hard to go back and watch shit like that's from like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, stuff like that, when animation now looks so good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't try and judge something based on animation, but if it looks painful to look at, or if it is painful for me to look at in some cases, like this is like trying to go back and play like the original Final Fantasy VII for some people.
Yeah,
it can be hard to get into it. So
I don't know. Just start with anime that are like have easy viewing experiences. Easy to find. So stuff like anything that's Netflix original series, especially if you like dubbed specifically. Obviously, a lot of people start with dubbed, and then eventually they become sub snobs. Like I tend to like subbed a lot more, even when dub's an option, because it's just that's the original language, and to me it always sounds better.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I like it both ways depending on what I'm watching. Some series do seem better in dub, but the default option for almost everything now is subbed, and just switching it to dub just feels weird sometimes. Yeah,
just watch stuff that's easy for you to find, easy for you to take in. And then, as you go, you'll eventually develop your own taste and stuff like that. Yeah. But I don't know, just stick away from like the really, really niche animes that, like, that are always recommended. A lot of the old stuff, maybe start with something a little bit newer first, and then eventually make your way back.
Yeah, like I don't think I would ever recommend someone start with something like Bokurano or anything like that.
No, definitely not. A little bit too deep, a little bit too... I don't know. Once again, too niche. So start with something a little more generic, and see if you like it, and then move on from there. Develop your own taste as you go. Okay. Is anime something you see yourself falling out of with age? This is a big question I find with a lot of anime YouTubers and just in general. As we're up there, we're in our late 20s, you get into your 30s, life takes over. A lot of people slowly watch less and less anime as they go. Is that something you see happening?
I mean, I could definitely say I watch less now that I'm older than I used to, but that's more of a time constraint.
Yeah, obviously, as you age, you have more commitments, less time to do stuff.
Yeah, and anime is never going to be the number one priority. Like, if we have a podcast recording later that day, I'm going to make sure I watch whatever I have to watch for that. But I'm never going to look at myself and think to myself, okay, I'm not going to hang out with anyone today so I can watch this episode of anime.
Yeah. Unless something huge happens at one point in the anime community where like the whole thing changes, I feel like I'll probably watch anime, forever for the most part. I can't imagine myself right now being like 90, dying in my deathbed and just tossing on the newest episode of One Piece right now. That's a little too far in the future.
Yeah.
But at least for the most part right now, I can say I don't see there being, it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, when I hit 35, I'm too fucking adult for anime.
Yeah.
I got to stop that shit.
Yeah. Which I think part of it's that anime has kind of aged up as time has gone on. Like, like older series did definitely cater to an older audience too, but it's more accepted now. There's definitely some more adult themes built into them. Yeah,
it's no longer like a lot of people, like anyone's parents, I'm sure, especially if they were in the 90s and you're watching anime, it's like anime is for children, right?
Yeah.
They saw us watching shit like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, Digimon, and they think any anime now is for children.
Yeah.
But we've gotten out of that a lot. Anime's become a lot more accepted. It really does age with people. There's animes that I wouldn't even recommend for people under the age of 18.
Yeah, I can think of a lot of anime I would recommend under the age of 18.
I'm sure as you grow older, there's going to be less and less time for it as, you know, we get busier and stuff like that. But there's not a feasible time right now where I see, yeah, I'm not sitting here with constraints on myself like, oh, yeah, when I hit 30, I'm not watching anime anymore. I'm too busy.
That is true. And I think maybe the biggest issue might be that as time goes on, you're further and further away from the target demographic in a lot of them.
Yeah, it's true. There's not tons of anime out there about like a 40-year-old dealing with stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there are some.
There's not tons. And, you know, you might feel weird when you're 40 watching all the anime still about high school, all the high school slice of life anime.
So you might trim your list down as time goes on, but I don't think it's something I'm ever going to fully drop. So,
yeah. Okay, well, that's that question. We're on to the very last question, which is question number 26. So this is one that I actually like a lot. So it's just, would you recommend going to conventions? So going to cons. Obviously, right now,
I mean, yeah,
we missed the con last year. So we're in Canada. We go to Anime North. It's I don't know. It's not the largest convention in Canada, I assume, but it's the convention most close to us, which is in Toronto. It takes place May every single year.
I mean, we do have a newer one called YetiCon that's pretty close, but,
but
we haven't attended that one yet.
No, yeah, that seems like a little bit more of a niche audience in there. It's a lot smaller, doesn't have all the same stuff at it, but
it does have a water park though.
That's true. But yeah, Anime North is in Toronto every single year in May. We've been to that for like the last 11 years. We missed last year because it was closed, and this year it's only about 2 or 3 months away now, and it seems very unlikely that it's going to be running.
Yeah, there's some talks about trying to do it in a limited capacity, but I don't think it's going to go
It's
through.
really hard to do. But in general, let's pretend for a second that there's cons going on this year. Would we recommend it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we've had starting when you're 17 and now going to a con when you're like 28, those are two very different times.
It is.
What we've done at these cons have changed every single year, basically. When it started, a lot of it was about like, it was so cool seeing all these people in cosplay.
Yeah.
We're talking to all these people online. This is like a place where you can be like a fucking weeb and not have to worry about it. It's not like in high school where you have to kind of hide that shit. Obviously, you're going in, you're seeing all these art pieces, you're seeing all this merch you want to buy. You have way more disposable income, because you're not really paying for your mortgage or anything like that.
Yeah, and if you have a job at that point, you can just literally save all your money to spend it all here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we had friends who were spending like $400 worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards some years.
Yeah, a lot of times, early days, I was going in with about $400 every single time. Which was sometimes, depending on how late it was either something I got for my job, or honestly, a lot of times my parents are just like, here's $400. You don't really ask for anything. I didn't like play any sports that cost money or stuff like that. So my parents are like, okay, you don't really get money, so here, just the one time a year, take this like $400 and
just go nuts.
Yeah. So that was really nice. But obviously, when you look at later years, a little bit later than that, a lot of it became about going to party.
Yeah, I mean, having those drinks, going to the rave, that was always a huge thing for us.
Yeah, we've never really been into like stuff like the panels, because they kind of suck at this convention. There's not like big name actors or voice actors.
Some of them are pretty decent. Like there's a few that I've gone to that I have enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them you go down, they're just like run by some random schmuck who picked a topic.
Yeah.
And you're just watching it. It's like, why am I here?
Yeah, you're like, why does this guy know more about cats and anime than I do?
Yeah.
He's just a random guy.
Or there'd be like, I remember Mike went into one that was like the Kaiju and Godzilla panel, and he ended up instructing the guy who was doing the seminar.
Yeah, it's very different than when you look at stuff like Comic-Con panels and stuff where you have like the cast, the director, stuff like that.
Yeah.
People who are the most knowledgeable about this. A lot of times here, they just get random people to run things.
Yeah, like there's a few instances where it's like, okay, yeah, they actually got someone who's tied to it, who's here for it, which are the cool ones. But
But yeah, it became a lot about like, in the days we'd go to the dealer's room, we'd pick up all the cool merch, we'd go back to our hotel room, we'd fucking be dueling while we'd be like drinking, stuff like that. And then we'd hit like dinner, and then we'd go to the rave at night, and you'd come back from the rave like 2 a.m. And that was mainly what it was about.
Going through the panels too, and just talking to people, even some of the creators was always a cool option as well.
Yeah, meeting people is always fun. As I said, like the first year we went, we met someone, we hung out with her the entire thing. Some of the other years we met some random people. A lot of it though, I don't know, it's still kind of weird. It's kind of weird to recommend people just to go out there and like talk to strangers and hang out with them. The world's kind of fucked up these days. I don't 100% know if I can recommend you.
I mean, the nice thing about this is that you have a common interest with them.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier just to bump into someone and have a conversation when you have that opening thread.
There is this fact though that for some reason at a lot of cons people just like think there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this person's an anime fan, I'm an anime fan, I can just walk up and touch them. Or it's like, no.
Yeah, like you still have to be a decent human being.
All regular rules in society apply. It's just that you know that these people at least share something with you. So maybe like talking to them and stuff like that's gonna be easier. But yeah, still follow all regular rules.
I'm just gonna say that this is not a PDA, a PSA. Make sure you just observe basic hygiene.
Yeah,
that was always a problem. But
that's a standard. That's a standard problem. I mean, a lot of these people are just having such a good time. They're not really worried about stuff like that. But yeah, there's not a chance that I could say don't go to a con. Yeah. If you're an anime fan, whether or not you want merch or you have money to buy all the merch, even just walking through those places without money, like I've actually done that some years because later as I got a job, I had to pay for more stuff. There were years where just the ticket and the hotel was like the money I had. So I'd bring like, some money for food and then I have like an extra like $50 to buy stuff. Yeah, it kind of sucks like seeing stuff you can't buy, but it's still like the vibe in the area is so fun. The raves are still a good time. Just hanging out with your friends. As I said, you get to spend 2 days with your friends in a hotel. We're like dueling. Some of the days we just wake up and we watch like some of the cartoons. Like we were watching like the fucking Ladybug and Cat Noir, and we're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, what was it, Banicula too?
Yeah, we were literally
were we drinking when we were watching that?
No, because those were in the morning. I woke up and everybody was watching like a kids bunny vampire show, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Someone put it on and we just sat there and watched it. I don't know what happened.
And it was just like moments like that where you're just hanging, how often do you really get time just to go with your friends and hang out with like 2 days inside of a hotel room and chill? And even just like without the con, that kind of stuff's fun. And not enough people take time to do that. So the convention just gives you a good time to do that.
It's a good escape. That was always my thing. Like I would always take my vacation from work around that time. Mm-hmm. So I'd have a nice lead up to it. And then that would be my time off, and then I'd go back to work having gotten all this energy out.
I would take like 2 days off before, 2 days off after, and just have like a really, really fun time.
Yeah.
Also, we've done a few years of doing cosplay. It's always fun. I definitely say I've definitely wasted too much time and money making some cosplay instead of just buying some. But to me, once again, it always just drives me nuts if I don't think I like look good. Like if I don't look like what I actually think I should look like in it, and it drives me nuts. But not everyone feels the same way.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool skill set to have. And I mean, like anyone cosplaying is anything, I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I honestly, there are some years where I felt lame for not cosplaying because I'm like, God, it just seems like such a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
When we went as free the one year, we actually got a lot of pictures, which was cool though.
Yeah, so I was not a part of that one, so
nope. But yeah, in the future when we go, hopefully 2022 when it reopens, I'm excited to do some sort of really good cosplay. That's just the hope. But yeah, I'm really excited to go back. And if you've never been to a convention, try and find one like local in your area. Take the time for yourself. It's something you're really passionate about. Then go to it because you're gonna get a lot of new experiences. Just be respectful, obviously.
Yeah, be a decent human being.
Respect boundaries.
If you have someone that you can go with, someone you do already share this interest with, that does help bump it up a little bit, I think.
And can build your bonds. Like we talked about in the one thing. I developed better friendships with everybody after I went to Anime North with them. Yeah. You really get to bond. So
yeah, seeing someone absolutely trashed at a rave definitely develops your opinion of them.
Yeah, or when you see someone you thought was like really cool, and then you're at Anime North and they're in like a fucking like a weird Eevee costume or something, like just like something fucking crazy you never would have thought. You're like, okay, yeah, perfect. Now I feel like I know you better.
Yeah.
So
there's some things you can only do at a con. So
yeah, so give it a try if you haven't. Obviously, right now you can't. But when everything reopens eventually, if you haven't been to one, find one in your area. There's normally some somewhere, hopefully.
Yeah,
I don't recommend spending $1,000 on like a flight ticket to go to one. To just find one that.
Just because you want to go to San Diego Comic-Con does not mean you should go to San Diego.
I feel like some of these times the biggest conventions too, a lot of times they cost way too much money, and B, you might lose out on some of those really fun experiences when there's thousands and thousands of people. Yeah. Even just us, some of the early years of the convention we went to, we had hours of waiting in line. Since then, they've optimized it a lot more and everything worked a lot better. But there were some rough times of a lot of wasted time in lines.
Yeah, I mean, we met a few cool people in line, but I don't know if that justifies it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good time, though. So if you've never been to a con, find one eventually and go to it if you're an anime fan. Yeah. If you've been to a con, you know what we're talking about. You probably have some fun experiences, too. Yeah. A lot of it, when you're adult, comes down to drinking with your friends, though. So, be prepared for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our very last question. I think this took a lot longer than we thought. We thought it was going to be about like a 20-minute video. But to be fair, we got a lot more questions on the more recent video we put out.
Sure.
So we had a little more content. So yeah, hopefully you guys like this. If you guys have any response to any of the questions or anything like that, I don't imagine this is going to be a big discussion comment section on this video. More of just a view at your own pleasure kind of thing. But if you have anything to say, any thoughts on anything we said, of course, let us know down below.
Yeah, anything's appreciated. Any interaction, comments, or even if you just want to ask additional questions, we could always go over them in the next milestone.
Yeah, that's true. We can always fit in questions anytime. We can even just answer them inside the comments if you want to.
Sure.
Doesn't really matter. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoy this. It was obviously a little bit different than the normal stuff.
It has.
It was just a get to know us, because if you get to know us, then hopefully you'll want to stick around future parts and check out some more anime with us.
Sure.
But yeah, take a look out for our next episode. We'll be coming out with next week's episode on Monday as usual with all the new anime. So once again, guys, I've been Cam.
I've been Jimmy.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.
Peace.